Chicago on the shores of Lake Michigan. Another beautiful sunny afternoon, but about 30 degrees cooler than it was a week ago here in Chicago. Hello, everyone. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris at Soldier Field, where the Bucks and the Bears look for victory number one. And Johnny, of course, last week for the first time in 59 games, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a new quarterback instead of the departed Doug Williams. Indeed, they had two new quarterbacks.
That's right. Both Jerry Goldstein and Jack Thompson played well. Neither starred. Neither did all that bad, but when you don't score any points, you get a zero. John McKay said the team played worse than he thought they could on offense. However, there were some extenuating circumstances. As you know, a lot of their offensive linemen got hurt. There were 7 sacks, and there was just a complete disarray as far as the offense is concerned. But there's hope for today because Jimmie Giles is back at tight end. As you know, he was a contract dispute case earlier in the season. He played last week, but only sparingly. He's going to play a lot today, and as you know, he's been very successful against the Chicago Bears over the years.
Yes, he has. Well, while the Bears lost to Atlanta last week, they rolled up more than 400 yards of offense behind Jim McMahon. But today they face yet another tough defense in the Bucs.
That's right. Jim McMahon did a good job, and he will start again at quarterback for the Bears. But the Bucs are tough, anchored by Leroy Selman and David Logan on the defensive line using that 3-4 defense, so the Bear offense will have its hands full. But so will the Tampa Bay defense because Willie Gault, the world-class sprinter and hurdler, is going to play a lot today and catch some passes. Last week, not one pass was thrown to Willie Gault. Coach Mike Ditka says he's going to throw today, and the Bucs better watch out.
All right, Johnny, there is Willie Gault in the end zone, where from that position last week, he returned one for 38 yards. The Bears will receive and give Gault a chance to get off to a good start today. The rookie from Tennessee, Bill Capice, number 3, will kick it off for Tampa to our left in white. High kickoff coming down about 2 yards deep, and Gault will bring it out. He slips at the 10 and dives to the 15. Covering him there, Thomas Morris, reserve defensive back number 24. And so the Bears will start first with the offensive series. Jim McMahon will bring out Matt Suhey and Walter Payton at running backs. Brian Baschnagel and Ken Marjoram will start at the wide receivers. The rookies, Jim Covert and Rob Fata on the left side, Dan Neal, Sorey, and Van Horn, and then Emery Moorhead, the tight end. Rob Fata starting with the still injured Noah Jackson, been bothered with a thigh muscle injury and not yet ready to go in his usual spot at left guard. So Fata and Covert will have their hands full with Leroy Selman and company. First down, Bears. Pitch, Suhey. Suhey got a couple on the right side where Andy Hawkins, the linebacker, number 59, pulled him down. Looking at the Bucs defensively, one of the outstanding defenses in the entire National Football League. John Cannon, Dave Logan, and Leroy Selman across the front three. The linebackers Hawkins with Jeff Davis and Scott Brantley moving into starting roles. Hugh Green, number 53, on the right side. John Holt, Washington on the corners. Colsey and Brown, the safeties. Holt getting that spot with the injury to Norris Thomas, who is not yet able to return to action for the Buccaneers. Moorhead, Saldi, double tight end here on 2nd and 7, and that is Saldi in motion. Walter Payton gets a block on the corner, a good one by Moorhead on Washington, and it turned Payton upfield. He'll be short of the first down, but it will be 3rd and about 3 when the Bears get the ball back here. Davis made the tackle, number 58, forcing Payton out of bounds.
Both of these teams have got to be happy about the cool weather here in Chicago. They've had over 40 days of 90-degree plus temperatures, and this is the first cool day in a long time. And while Tampa Bay's used to hot weather, the Bears are not so much, but they all appreciate cool weather. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, indeed. Last week in Tampa, the humidity was so sweltering. Indeed, rookie tackle Kelly Thomas went down to the heat, and then, of course, they lost Dave Revis, Gene Sanders, and that led to all kinds of problems by the end of the first period. Out of the shotgun, McMahon has time but no receivers. Now he finds Payton open. Payton has the first down to the Bears' 28-yard line before Scott Brantley, number 52, forced him out.
Well, there's Walter Payton, a man who caught 8 passes last week, a man who has over 10,300 yards rushing only in his 9th year in the NFL, and he stayed alert that time as McMahon had all day. Look at that. The only runner to rush for over 100 yards more than once, and he's done it 5 times against Tampa Bay. So if they stop Payton, they'll stop the Bears, but if they don't stop Payton, things don't look too good for Tampa Bay. He's the key.
Bucs defense actually rises to the challenge against the famous backs in the NFL. They seem to do awfully well against them, except for Walter Payton. And there's Payton again slipping on the carpet, And going down at the 29-yard line, a gain of less than a yard on the play. Andy Hawkins was there in front of him to make sure Walter got no farther when he got up.
The Buccaneers did rise to the occasion last week. They stopped Billy Sims, of course, and then we were talking to Neil Colsey. He says, we love to shut down those great runners. He said last week it was Sims, and we're going to shut down Payton this week. We'll see what happens. They held Detroit to 77 yards in 31 carries last week.
It is 2nd and 9 for the dark-clad Chicago Bears. In motion, Saldi, and he opens a big hole. Payton has a first down. A gain of about 9 yards. Cedric Brown, the safety, making the tackle.
And watch the block by the remaining back, Matsui. 26 goes through the line, and there he really lays the block on Jeff Davis. 58 makes a big hole as Walter Payton goes through and gets some big yardage. Good block by the interior line, and especially Matsui right up the middle on the linebacker one-on-one. Not bad.
Not bad at all. They're at the 39-yard line with a first down for the Chicago Bears. Opening series, Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris from Chicago. Suey straight ahead for a gain of about 4 yards. You know, this Bucs defense, the linebacking right from the inception of the Buccaneers has just been outstanding. You've got two young men in Scott Brantley who made that tackle, the third-year pick in 1980 from Florida. Jeff Davis, sixth-round choice a year ago from Clemson, moving ahead of Richard Wood and Cecil Johnson. And Andy Hawkins took the job from Dave Lewis, now departed. Hugh Green coming in on the right side. They've been able to replace quality linebackers with even more quality. 2nd and 6. Dennis McKinnon, the rookie, and Willie Galt are the wide receivers for the Bears.
Oh.
And it's almost intercepted on a perfectly timed interception try by Neil Colsey, number 20. And that would have been 6 for Tampa Bay. Boy, he smelled that one, Johnny.
That's right. The Bears had two receivers out there on the wing, and Willie Galt was one of them. Colsey, the free man, just comes up there, didn't worry about anybody else, just went for the interception, took a chance, and that's why he has 25 interceptions in the NFL. He'll take a chance once in a while. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Bears approach the Willie Galt situation. They say they're going to throw to him. They want him down deep, but the Bucs have not allowed a touchdown pass over 27 yards in 3 years. You know, so which is going to give?
Third down here as the Bears try to keep the opening drive alive. And they give us to Walter Payton out of the shotgun. Payton has the first down yardage over midfield at the Bucs 49-yard line where Hugh Green forced him out. Interesting call. Certainly caught the Bucs by surprise on the passing down.
Off the shotgun, watch 34, Walter Payton. There's the inside handoff, a good block by Moorhead as he came down the line, and Payton dipped to the outside. Revisori 69 is out in front to throw the block on number 53, Hugh Green. Green gets an arm on him, but Payton was able to get just beyond that first down marker. The Bears keep the drive alive.
They spot the ball right at the midfield stripe. First down, Chicago Bears. Opening offensive series. Payton again behind Suey. Gets a couple. He's met and straightened up by John Kennan, the left end, number 78. First score in from elsewhere in the National Football League today. An interconference game, Cleveland at Detroit, and the Lions leading 7-0 on an Eric Hipple to Len Thompson pass. An 80-yard touchdown play. Len Fonts, the defensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And John McKay saying yesterday how pleased he is with the job that he's done. 2nd and 8. Suey straight ahead. Picks up about 3 yards. Gets to the 45-yard line of the Buccaneers where Leroy Selman, the All-Pro number 63, made the tackle.
Boy, did he knife through nicely on that play to stop that one. Leroy Selman, he has 61 sacks. That's not too bad in the NFL. And, you know, when you're rushing out of a three-man rush, however they blitz a linebacker once in a while, it makes it tough. It's a lot tougher to get through because you'll be double-teamed. And they'll double-team Logan a lot. They'll double-team Leroy Selman a lot. That means somebody's not going to be double-teamed, doesn't it?
That's right. They spotted at the 47-yard line. So it'll be 3rd and a long 6 for the Bears. McMahon up the middle. Open is Tim Marjoram, number 82, for the first down. He took quite a shot from Neil Colsey, but held on to the ball, and another Chicago first down.
You're going to see a crisscross between Marjoram and 87 Emery Moorhead out of the shotgun. They'll come from right and left and crisscross, and there you can see that there it goes Moorhead, and here comes Marjoram across the middle, and Cedric Brown was a little bit screened off by Moorhead as he came across. It's not a pick, but he just kind of gets in the way and forces the defensive back to stay a little deeper.
First down at the Buccaneers 39-yard line. They give to Payton. Trying to get inside the tackle, and the Bucs shut that down effectively. Number 58 making the initial hit, Jeff Davis, the linebacker. There was excellent defensive pursuit, piling up the Bears blockers on the play, and the gain will be about a yard.
We got to give some credit to Washington. He came across the line of scrimmage and jammed up the guard, Rob Feta, forced Payton to cut inside quicker than he wanted to, and of course Jeff Davis was in there. Jeff Davis had, 13 tackles last week? That is sensational.
He is an exciting young linebacker, second-year man from Clemson. And they call it about a half-yard gain. McMahon has the time, and he has Willie Galt. And they rule he caught it out of bounds. Out of bounds for Willie Galt. Went up in the air, came down out of bounds, and so it is incomplete. Third down.
Okay, Washington is on the coverage, straight drop back, not much play action, plenty of time to throw, no pressure yet on McMahon, and you'll see Galt goes up for the ball, and he will come down. He didn't get his feet down there to drag those feet. He was worried about catching that ball, and that's one thing that that he'll learn as he gets into the NFL a little longer. You got to reach up there and kind of drag those feet for any kind of chance to stay in bounds on that situation.
5 defensive backs in on third down. Johnny Ray Smith, number 22, joining the Bucs secondary. There's shotgun again. McMahon, quick pass out to Suey. Suey is met immediately, and he is short of the first down at the 32-yard line. Johnny Ray Smith, the nickelback, made the initial contact with help from John Holt, the left corner, and so the Buccaneers did their usual bend but don't break routine again. It'll bring up fourth down.
And you hit it right on the head. That's what the Bucs will do. They'll bend, they'll give you those short ones, and they figure that eventually the offense is going to make a mistake along the way, and the drive will kind of falter. Well, it did for the Bears, and Parsons is going to punt, at least apparently. This is an excellent spot to try something, because if it doesn't work, you still have the Bucs down in their own territory. We'll see what happens.
Parsons standing at the Buccaneers 48. The up man is Bashnagel for the Chicago Bears if they are going to try some trickery. A long count. Indeed, too long.
They did that on purpose, trying to draw Tampa Bay off sides. And the penalty, they figured that will give Parsons even a better spot in order to punt from. And they were
delay the game. Offense decline. Still fourth down.
Interesting decline. Tampa Bay says, okay, we'll leave it where it is and give him the shorter angle to punt with.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a smart call.
That is a smart call by the Buccaneers.
Unless the Bears fake it and go for a first down.
That's right. But, of course, I think the Buccaneers were looking for that on the last down anyway. They'll certainly be looking for it here. But they have not given Parsons the angle to the corner that he wants. Another long count by the Bears. Parsons angling. Does a good job. Excellent job. That is Dennis Gentry, number 29, who was down waiting for it at the 1-yard line. And Bob Parsons played a little catch with his foot. A perfectly angled 31-yarder to his teammate Dennis Gentry. The Bucs will start from the 1 when we return.
Pontiac has created a car so new, so different.
Fiero.
It will fire your imagination like no other car ever built.
Fiero.
It's called Fiero. America's first mid-engine production car. The totally new Fiero. Only from Pontiac.
We build excitement. Pontiac.
This bartender's the next big league pitcher and loves to serve fire-brewed Strohs. See what I mean? That was his fastball. That was the curve. Look out. Wild pitch.
What was that?
Relief pitcher.
From one beer lover to another's pros.
Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris back in Chicago, where the Bears on the first offensive series used up 7 minutes and 8 seconds on the clock. Jerry Goldstein from Northern Illinois will start at quarterback for the Buccaneers from the end zone. It is James Owens, and the ball coming loose out to the 2-yard line, covered by the Buccaneers. And looking at the Bucs offense, with Goldstein at quarterback, James Wilder and James Owens are the starters at running back. Gerald Carter and Kevin House the wide receivers. Gene Sanders starting for the injured Dave Revis at left tackle. Snell, Wilson, Farrell, the rookie Kelly Thomas, the tight end Jimmy Giles getting his first start of the season in game number 2. Delvin Carver in for Owens at running back on the second play. And the give is to Wilder, who breaks a tackle and gets out to the 4-yard line. James Wilder, the heavy-duty man, 6'3", 225-pounder from Missouri. Osborne and Bell made the tackle for the Chicago Bears. It'll be 3rd and 7. Defensively, across the front, Hartenstein, Osborne, Hampton, and Al Harris. The front four with Wilson, Singletary, and Cabral starting for the injured Gary Campbell at linebacker. Richardson, the rookie, with Frazier, Fensick, and Bell, the Bears secondary. Owens back in at running back. It is 3rd down and a long 6. The give is to Owens, and Owens diving out over the 10 will be close to first down yardage. Brian Cabral, number 54 from Colorado, making the hit. And let's see where they mark the ball. It may require a measurement.
I think they're going to be a touch short. I think it's going to be a few inches short, which would put the Bucs into a punting situation from deep in their own territory.
Bucs having to start from their 1-yard line following the perfect punt by Parsons.
Oh, it's just about an inch or two short, and you have to punt in this situation when you're down so deep.
John McKay says, let's punt. And I don't think he's even reflecting back to last week where they had 4th and very short. Melvin Carver failed to make it and wound up on the bench for the start of this game today.
Well, Frank Garcia can
also
punt. I'll
contributed,
tell you what,
yes.
he had a good day last week, didn't he?
This young man had a great day last week. Frank Garcia, 6 punts, averaging 48.2 against Detroit a week ago. And he's punting from the end zone. He had a 64-yarder. He kicks a low line drive, and he got a lot of mileage out of that. What a catch by Fisher at the 38 of the Bears, and he gets almost back to midfield. Well, there was a lot of excitement on that punt play. He had a punter kicking from the end zone. He had a line drive that went miles, and Jeff Fisher caught that like a receiver going downfield on a pass, Johnny.
It was down to almost the 40-yard line or behind the 40-yard line. I tell you, if he had not caught that ball, that thing could have been an 80 or 90-yard punt because it was a line shot. Look at that. If he hadn't caught it, it could have been a world record punt. But
he one-handed that. As it was, it went 53 yards. The Bears will have it at their own 48 when we return.
The 6000 STE from Pontiac is America's performance sedan. An engineering masterpiece that gives you an amazing command of the road. 6000 STE. Technically advanced, totally satisfying. 6000 STE, only from Pontiac.
We build excitement. Pontiac.
Over the years, this table was painted, painted again, and finally antiqued.
To remove all this old paint, you need Formby's powerful paint remover. Formby's is a breakthrough. It works better than any leading brand. Watch Formby's paint remover bubble up years of stubborn paint because it's a special wood formula, an exclusive combination of premium ingredients. I make a powerful paint remover to make your job easier. It's about time.
Homer Formby. No one knows wood as good.
College football returns to CBS Sports next Saturday with regional action, and many of you will see this battle, the Texas Longhorns against the Auburn Tigers of Pat Dye. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area. It all starts with the NCAA Today next Saturday on CBS Sports. Well, we had an exciting punt play, and I have voted Jeff Fisher's catch certainly the punt catch of the year.
Do they
in
keep
week
those kind of
2.
stats?
I'm not sure, but that's got a rate up there. He one-handed that baby over his head. It is first down for the Bears, and Frank Garcia showed he can punt the football low or high. 53-yarder on first down, play action. McMahon calmly in there, now running out of time. Can't find the receiver, he'll run. Out of bounds at the Buccaneers' 47-yard line, a pickup of about 4 yards for McMahon. Quickly looking around the National Football League, we've got Pittsburgh and Green Bay are now tied at 7-7. Franco Harris has scored for the Steelers.
Washington 7-0 over Philadelphia. Joe Theismann threw a touchdown pass to Charlie Brown in that one. And it's St. Louis 7, Dallas 0. Jim Hart, the old pro, has thrown a touchdown pass to Roy Green. He's still around.
Lomax is hurt, so Hart got the start, and the Cardinals are always tough at home against Dallas. James Lofton scored the Packer touchdown.
Oh.
Suey is buried right at the line of scrimmage. Blasting in, John Cannon and Jeff Davis, the linebacker. What a job that front does. With 3 men, they get such good penetration with their linebackers. John McKay yesterday saying you're often looking at an 8-man Bears defensive line. Well, the same can be said of the Buccaneers because they all get involved in it. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use without the express written consent of the Bears and the NFL is prohibited. Third down. McMahon, the middle, incomplete. Intended for Emery Moorhead, the tight end. On the coverage was Neil Colsey, the safety, number 20. And either the pass was off the mark or Moorhead turned the wrong way.
Jim McMahon, the young man out of BYU who set 71 NCAA records when he was in college, and last year was NFC Rookie of the Year and had the highest rating of any quarterback that coming in as a rookie in the history of the NFL. So he's off to a flying start. He'll have his hands full with Tampa Bay today.
Parsons with his second punt, this time from his own 40-yard line. Back for it, Theo Bell, but it bounces out of bounds at the Buccaneers' 21-yard line. And so Tampa will start from there. We're still scoreless here in the first period. 4:48 remaining, first quarter at Soldier Field. Tampa Bay nothing, the Chicago Bears nothing.
Come on in, take a seat. We're gonna tell you what the big boys eat. Name is Wheaties, crunchy wheat. Now you know what the big boys eat. Hello, milk, come on in. Jump in, berry, have a swim. Wheaties, Wheaties, crunchy wheat. Now go tell your mama what the big boys eat.
Part of your good breakfast.
It's easy to forget Valvoline was the first to show you how to save money by changing your own oil. And it's easy to forget Valvoline was the first to put 12 quarts in a handy carry-out case. And it's easy to forget Valvoline is the choice of leading race drivers the world over. Yep, it's easy to forget all this about Valvoline, as long as you remember Valvoline is everything you need in a motor oil.
You're looking at Bear coach Mike Ditka, the former great tight end who was the personal choice of Papa Bear George Halas. He said he wanted Ditka to run this team, and Ditka's running it. They have a little bit more imagination on offense, the old Dallas-type offense. Now we're looking at Tampa.
Gary Goldstein at quarterback. Wilder finds some daylight, steps over a tackler or two, and is close to first down yardage. Out near the 31. In fact, it will be a first down for Tampa Bay to the 32. Gary Fensick, who missed a couple of plays with a sore rib, back in there to make the tackle. We were talking about James Wilder yesterday. What an outstanding player he is.
He certainly is, and he got some. Here's Jimmy Giles. Whoops, we're not going to see Jimmy Giles, but he threw a pretty good block.
All right, we'll come back to Wilder, too, when we get a chance, because he is the main man of that offense for the Bucs. This time he's wrapped up by, Owens is wrapped up by Osborne, who had nobody blocking him, and Osborne had a clear lane to the running back and stopped him right at the line of scrimmage.
There was a mix-up in the line blocking of the Bucs that time. Sean Farrell ran right into James Wilder, and they looked at each other and said, whose man was that? It ended up being neither one's.
Out to the left goes Kevin House, number 89. To the right is Gerald Carter, number 87. Out of the I formation. Now they send Owens into the slot right. 2nd and 10. Straight ahead, it's Wilder, and Wilder pulled down by Singletary, but not before he picked up about 7 yards. Indeed, if it were not for Singletary making that tackle, he would have had plenty more. There was a lot of open space on that right side, Johnny.
That's right. You see Otis Wilson, 55, was running out of the play here, and then as we see Wilder come up the middle, it puts them in a good 3rd down situation, but they caught the Bears as Singletary makes the tackle and a shifting of their defense right at the snap of the ball.
It is 3rd down, a long 3 for Tampa Bay, marching out of their own end. Again, Owens into the point. Again, Wilder, and he was hit behind the line. And again, it's Jim Osborne, veteran from Southern, who really put a rap on it.
They put the trap on Osborne. They had a trap on Osborne, and you're going to see Snell, 72, blocking on 68 right there. Here comes Snell to block 68 Osborne. He takes the block and gets through anyway and puts the clamps on Wilders. He beat the trap that time because he was able to get a yard or 2 across the line of scrimmage. Good play by Jim Osborne, who had 4 sacks last week. He earned it because apparently he was shaken up on the play, but last week he had 4 sacks. He blocked an extra point. He forced a fumble. 12-year veteran of the Chicago Bears and the mainstay in that defensive line, and that was a super play by Osborne, and it was a key play because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now are forced to punt. Let's see if Mr. Garcia can duplicate his last one.
Frank Garcia, been with 5 NFL teams, including the Tampa Bay Buccaneers once before. He hopes he's finally found a home. And to hustle it against a good Bear rush, Jeff Fisher at the 14-yard line slips and then is covered by a horde of white-clad bodies at the 20-yard line of Chicago. A 46-yard punt for Frank Garcia from the University of Arizona, native of Tucson. He can punt the football. We'll be back in Chicago in just a moment.
Pontiac has created a car so new, so different.
Fiero.
It will fire your imagination like no other car ever built.
Fiero.
It's called Fiero. America's first mid-engine production car. The totally new Fiero. Only from Pontiac.
We build excitement. Pontiac.
When you have an insurance claim, that's the moment of truth.
You want results as quickly as possible.
You don't want to call a stranger with a claim, and with State Farm you don't. You call your agent.
And State Farm claims people are there when you need them to make sure everything's handled fast and fair.
What makes State Farm Claim Service work so well is an agent who's available when you need help.
And people who follow through with your claim.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Coming soon to its proper place, Monday nights on CBS.
Together again.
Hear, hear.
Huh?
Hear, hear.
I certainly hope to.
After MASH.
2:19 to play in the first period. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris. We have a scoreless football game. The defenses, 2 of the better ones in the NFC, if indeed not in the entire NFL, so far have dominated the action. First down, Chicago, following the Tampa punt from just inside their own 20. Suey in motion. McMahon gives to Payton. Payton trying right tackle. Jeff Davis is there, unimpeded, and straightens up Wilder and gets a whistle. Number 58, Jeff Davis, the second-year man from Clemson. No gain on the play. Payton has 23 yards. Well, it probably, well, let's see. They're going to give him a yard, so we'll call it 24 yards now for Payton on 6 carries. McMahon is 4 of 7 in passing, but for only 22 yards. Second down. The long 8. Dennis McKinnon, the rookie wide receiver, along with another rookie, Willie Galt, in as the receiving tandem. They give it to Matt Suey and Leroy Selman, making his 90th start as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Puts the stop on Suey. And indeed, that 90th start makes him number 1 in that category among the Buccaneers. 578 career tackles after this week's game against Detroit. Moved past his brother Dewey into second place in the Buck career tackle list. Dewey has since moved on. Third down for Chicago. Third. About 7. Moorhead in motion back toward the ball. Out of the shotgun. The rush is on. Oh, what a lick. And that was John Cannon, the second-year man from William and Mary. And he got a pretty good shot at Jim McMahon back near the 10-yard line.
Let's take a look at Cannon out of the shotgun as they went into a big zone. You'll see he comes in 78 inside Keith Van Horn, beats Van Horn to the inside. So 78 beats 78. John Cannon with the sack, and as you can see, Tampa Bay is gradually getting much better and better field position after having come out from their own 1-yard line. Now they have the Bears back deep.
The shotgun was no match for the Cannon on that play. Parsons will have to punt from the end zone. Kicks it from about the 2. It hangs a little and comes down inside Bears territory. Andre Tyler, number 81, with a fair catch. And the Bucks, as you pointed out, Johnny, have good field position now as they will have first down at the 48-yard line of Chicago when we return.
When you buy a new car, you want to keep it looking new. And that's easy with Armor All Protectant. A scientific formula that took a polymer chemist 10 years to develop. It helps keep rubber, vinyl, leather, and plastic looking new. So even though you can't keep your car from getting old, you can keep it from looking old. Armor All. It's science, but it works like magic.
Ace is the place.
Ace is the place for best buys of the month, like the original Vice Grip 7-inch locking pliers. Can be used as clamp, wrench, wire cutter, and more. Best buy price at just $4.44.
Another Best Buy is this Proctor Silex toaster. Chrome finish with almond accents. Easy to clean. Fingertip control gives the right shade of toast. Only $9.99.
Best buys of the month and one thing more. Ace is the place with the help of hardware man.
Back in Chicago, we are still scoreless with 17 seconds left in the first period. Next week, these Bears will be at New Orleans. Tampa Bay will be in the second half of the doubleheader action with Minnesota down at Tampa Bay. And, of course, other games will feature the Rams at Green Bay, an important contest. The New York Giants will be at Dallas. The Cowboys, meanwhile, are now trailing St. Louis 10-0. In the first period at St. Louis today, and the Giants lead Atlanta 3-0 on a field goal by Ali Haji Sheikh. First down for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are in Bears territory at the 48. The pitch is to Wilder. Off tackle right, he runs through people for a gain of about 8 yards. We were talking earlier about him as we see Otis Wilson, the man to pull him down. In talking with John McKay about him, Johnny, I remember you posing the question, hey, is this guy all pro material? I know that you think he is.
I think he is. Every time I see him play, James Wilder, I think he's the best heavy-duty running back in the NFL. He can block. He's a good pass receiver. He caught 9 passes last week, and as you can see, he can run. So I like James Wilder a lot.
And he is the third-year man from Missouri. As time has run out here in the first period of play, we'll return to Soldier Field in Chicago with the score, the Bucks 0, the Bears 0.
From Pontiac comes the one-of-a-kind 84 Firebird Trans Am. You can order it with aerodynamic ground effects, a high-output 5-liter V8, high-tech turbo wheels, and a close ratio 5-speed. And knowing you, you probably will. Trans Am, only from Pontiac.
We build excitement. Pontiac.
Michelob Light for the winners this time, huh?
Oh, you enjoy being buried in the sand.
Michelob Light for the winners.
Would good friends really play this hard for a beer? Well, it is Michelob Light, the rich, smooth taste you can compare to any beer you like.
Michelob Light for the winners.
The sea, the sun, the sand.
The check.
The check.
How can a guy 5'9" have an unfair advantage over these guys? I use the Gillette Atra razor. They don't. It's got the advantage of a pivoting head. Atra is better than twin-blade razors that don't pivot. See? They don't always stay in my beard, but my Atra pivots to keep both blades on my beard longer. So I get a better shave, close, comfortable.
Get the Gillette Atra and get the Atra Advantage.
Sometimes a little advantage goes a long way.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Pontiac, who invite you to test drive a new Pontiac at your Pontiac dealer. At Pontiac, we build excitement. Michelob Light, an exceptional light beer with a rich, smooth taste. And by Gillette Atra Razor, the twin blade razor that pivots for a close, comfortable shave.
The columns of Soldier Field, a crowd of probably about 60,000 on hand here this afternoon. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris bringing you the action as we begin the second period. Tampa Bay had the ball for only 4 minutes and 50 seconds in the first quarter. They have not thrown a pass. It is 2nd and 3 at the Bears' 41. Goldstein, the quarterback, to Wilder, and Wilder continues to be the main man, picking up another first down to the 20, let's make it the 34-yard line of the Chicago Bears, with Mike Singletary and Brian Cabral, 50 and 54, making the tackle.
The Bears have been pretty standard on their defense so far. They're going basically with a four-man front, a lot of even defenses, whereas Tampa Bay's been using the 3-4. But the Bears are known to change defenses and blitz and do everything to you, and I know the Buccaneers are certainly aware of that.
Bucks come out in the eye. Carter to the left, House to the right. Short drop, and the first pass is complete to Gerald Carter. Carter gets to the 30-yard line. Carter, the fourth-year man from Texas A&M. Leslie Frazier on the coverage, number 21.
So we have seen Mr. Goldstein's first pass of this football game. As you know, the Buccaneers moved the ball real well during the exhibition season, and people were saying, well, we're not going to miss Doug Williams all that much, and then things went awry last week. And this is a big week for two quarterbacks, especially Goldstein right now, because he's in there, and John McKay's expecting this offense to move the ball a little bit.
2nd and 6, in motion behind the ball, Owens. Pitch to Wilder. Wilder trying the left tackle side, shook off the tackle of Cabral, was hauled down by Osborne, number 68, after a gain of a couple. It'll bring up a 3rd down for the Buccaneers. They are in Bears territory at the 33-yard line.
And notice the neck collar that Jim Osborne is wearing. More and more of their players are starting to wear that foam rubber neck collar around their necks to prevent the backlash. That's the one place you can get a serious injury. And even though it's uncomfortable to begin with, you kind of get used to it. So anybody has a youngster, I advise, wear a neck collar.
3 wide receivers are in for the Buccaneers, and the Bears have sent in Smith and Williams to join the secondary, but there was an infraction before the snap of the ball, so whistles on the field.
False start offense, number 74.
False start is charged against Tampa. You mentioned earlier that the St. Louis Cardinals doing their thing as they do at home against the Dallas Cowboys. It is 10-0 in the first period. And they are going with Jim Hart at quarterback in St. Louis today with the injury to young Neil Lomax. False start drops them back to 3rd and 9 for the Buccaneers. That could be a costly penalty. Now they've got a tough 3rd down situation. Bears with 5 defenders in the secondary. Straight drop for Goldstein, has the time, and up the middle, incomplete, intended for Gerald Carter. There were 3 Bears around him. Terry Schmidt may have got a hand on the ball as it was thrown into traffic there. And it'll bring up 4th down. So the Bucks get into Bears territory and come out empty, and that does not put a smile on the face of John McKay.
John McKay has led this team to the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 years, and of course, as you know, he went through some real suffering. They lost their first 26 games as a franchise, but overall, it's probably the best. This franchise has done the best of all new franchises in the history of the NFL. In other words, made it to the playoffs sooner and have done better.
Here's Garcia, nearly blocked, as Tyrone Keys had a clear path in there. Garcia just got it away into the end zone. It'll be a touchback. Make it to Richard Dent, number 95, the rookie from Tennessee State, who had nearly had himself a block. Looks like he juggled the snap a little bit.
And he saw Dent coming, and he figured he better hurry up, and he just got it off, and there was a slight contact there, but not enough in the official's judgment to rule interfering with the punter.
We are still scoreless early in the second period at Soldier Field.
Up before the sun, got the Honda ATC, gonna have some fun. Going freewheeling, it's my lucky day. Going freewheeling, come on out and play. Take it up, take it down, round and round and round. Going freewheeling, got the Honda ATC, going free.
Billy Ray Perkins, for one brief moment, played left field in the majors. Looks like a stroll-light night.
Looks like a stroll-light night. Looks like a stroll-light night. When things are going
Stroll-light, a great tasting beer that doesn't fill you up.
Looks like a stroll-light night. When nothing can go wrong. Looks like a stroll-light night. When good times come along.
One of the most popular boxers on the scene today will be seen on CBS Sports next Saturday. Ray Boom Boom Mancini defends his WBA lightweight championship against #1 ranked Orlando Romero of Peru. And also on that card, exciting young Robin Blake, who no doubt will have himself a title fight against Ray Mancini if he doesn't stumble over the likes of once beaten Melvin Paul. An exciting lightweight doubleheader next week on CBS Sports Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Joe Clancy, Sugar Ray Leonard, and I will be there to bring you that action, and we're looking forward to boxing excitement. It is first down for the Bears from their own 20-yard line following the Bucs kick. Neither team able to mount any kind of a sustained offense. Walter Payton hit at the line of scrimmage. His defense continues to dominate. Noseman Dave Logan, number 76. He is some kind of a load. He's so quick, he's tall, and really, in many ways, is the heart of the Buccaneers defense.
That's right, and he takes a lot of double teams. Now, you'll see Logan, he's right over Hilgenberg, number 63, the center. Now, he's going to have to obviously jam up things here. You'll see Jay Saldy, it comes down. He's number 81, a man in motion right there to hit Logan again. That's a double team, the tight end in the center, just jamming up Dave Logan. He's got to take that punishment, bounce off 2 men, and make the tackle. Now, you talk about football player. There's one right there.
You bet. Gain of only a yard. 2nd and 9. They swing it to Willie Galt. He's got nowhere to go. Mike Washington, number 40, was all over him like a blanket as soon as he caught the ball. And it'll be no gain, maybe even a loss of a half yard.
And you're seeing a little history for Willie Galt. This is his first pass reception in the National Football League. As you know, he did so well in the Helsinki World Games in the hurdles, finished 3rd in the hurdles, and he can run about a 9.200, and he's a definite deep threat. This was a short pass, and has not got too many yards, but he'll probably remember it for a long time. His first pass reception in a regular season NFL game.
3rd down and 9 for the Bears from their 21. Out of the shotgun. He's got a wing left, and now in motion, Emery Moorhead back to the ball. McMahon has an open man, Suey. Suey is dropped at the 25-yard line for a gain of only 3 or 4 yards. And it was number 24, Thomas Morris, in as an extra secondary man making the tackle. And the Bears fans not too pleased with that offensive display by the Bears. Chicago had the ball for 10 minutes and 10 seconds in the first period compared to 4:50 for Tampa, but failed to move it into scoring position. Parsons will punt again, hitting it from the 16-yard line. A dandy. Driving back, Andre Tyler inside his 25. Tyler gets to the 34-yard line of Tampa Bay, where the first man to meet him was Brian Cabral, number 54. 51-yard punt for Parsons. 11:43 remaining first half. We are still scoreless.
Learjet, Coco Lima on the final, gear down, lock for full.
The test pilot who broke the sound barrier, General Chuck Yeager.
Reliability means a lot to me. That's why I go with AC Delco technology in my car. This AC fire ring spark plug is no bigger than a bullet. Yet it's engineered to give you up to 30,000 miles of reliable performance. Never wait for trouble. AC Delco, the smart parts. For 40 years, they've never let me down.
I've loved this river since I was just a kid. But as more people moved in, it was bound to get dirty. So I was glad the town upstream installed a treatment system. Phillips Petroleum developed the plastic that makes it possible. Now, I don't know much about gasoline, but I go to Phillips 66. Because I'm not just buying gasoline, it's like I'm helping keep my river clean.
Fine products for you and your car from Phillips Petroleum, the performance company.
Next, can Yvonne Lindell win his first Grand Slam tournament? He faces defending champ Jimmy Connors in the men's singles final of the U.S. Open on CBS Sports. Next.
Well, I wonder if we'll see a check sweep or a sweep check or something like that today. Martina Navratilova winning the women's title yesterday at the U.S. Open. Today, Yvonne Lindell from Czechoslovakia has an opportunity to win the men's title for the first time against a several-time winner and a great champion in Jimmy Connors. That should be quite an exciting match coming up following football.
You know, Lindell is a great tennis player, but you know, he's never won a major tournament. I think he's won over $4 million in purse money, but never a Grand Slam event.
I have a feeling today is the day.
Well, I'm going with Connors.
Okay, first down, Tampa Bay. That is James Owen bashing through Brian Cabral and getting to the 39-yard line for a gain of about 6, maybe 7 yards. Call it a 6-yard gain, 2nd and 4.
Dan Hampton also in on that tackle for the Bears. He's another man that gets double-teamed quite a bit. As the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are now getting some offensive time. They haven't had much chance to move the ball on offense. We'll see what Goldstein can do.
They're running it fairly well. Owens into the slot. Wilder the lone setback. They give it to him. Wilder bulldozes his way for 2, maybe 2.5. Getting over the 40-yard line of Tampa Bay, where Osborne and Hartenstein combined to make the tackle on him. Remember, the Buccaneers, with all those tackles going down last week, are still without starter Dave Revis out with a knee injury. He's replaced by Gene Sanders, the 5-year veteran, the biggest man on the team at 275 pounds. On the right side, Kelly Thomas, back in action after having to leave you with a heat problem last week in Tampa.
The Bears have 6 defensive backs in there now.
3rd and a long 3. Goldstein to throw. Goldstein had it. Carter was open. Walt Williams broke it up. Gerald Carter looked like he was going to make the grab. Williams got there at the last possible second to break up the play. Number 43, Walt Williams, picked up as a free agent from Miami last year.
He didn't even know where the ball was. He just ran right into Carter right after the ball got there, and it was a legal play, and just knocked the ball loose. And he sits down. He did his job as Garcia has to come back in.
Frank Garcia has a 53-yarder today. He had a 64-yarder last week. Jeff Fisher is back to receive it, number 24, waiting at the 20-yard line. Garcia, this one hangs up in the wind a little bit. It's still a good punt to the 23. Fisher looking for a block, pushes Jay Saldi ahead of him and got to the 25-yard line before he was pulled down by Thomas Morris, number 24, number 43, Turdell Middleton. And so the Buccaneers will start first down, but there's a flag on the play that evidently came after the punt, although it may be. There's the call.
On the kicking team, 5 yards.
Face mask call on the punting team. 5-yard penalty against the Buccaneers. The ball was at the 25 on Fisher's return, so he gets 5 extra up to the 30. And the Chicago Bears will start from their own 30-yard line with 10:15 to play here in the first half, starting to cloud up a little bit at Soldier Field in Chicago.
If you run a small business, profits can get squeezed when inventory doesn't match up with production. What can help is a visit to an IBM personal computer dealer. Once you've explained the kind of help you need, a computer expert will show you the system that's right for you, show you how simple it is to get started, and how IBM's easy-to-follow instructions and library of business and management software can help you solve your problems and give you a tool for modern times. The IBM personal computer. Not only can it help you plan ahead, it'll balance your books and give you more time to make dough. And the cost? That's the icing on the cake. Your own IBM personal computer. Try it at a store near you.
Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris back in Chicago. Looks like the Bucks and the Bears had the same idea in their offense today.
And that could be one thing that's wrong in this new day and age of pro football. You got to throw on first down. This established a run is a bunch of baloney, in my opinion.
I wish you wouldn't go off for it. There's an interception by Holt, Johnny Holt, from West Texas State, intended for Kenny Marjoram, and the ball popped up, probably off his shoulder pads, and Holt makes the first interception of the afternoon, and Tampa Bay has the ball as the Bears threw on first down.
Yeah, they threw on first down, you're right. However, it should have been completed. The pass was right there, bounced right up off his pads and shoulder pads, and there's John Holt with the interception. Tampa Bay has the ball, and that's what you call alert football playing. John Cannon says nice catch and goes to throw a block as Holt takes it down, finally brought down. Tampa Bay has the first big break in the game. They're down at the 37.5-yard line.
Johnny Holt, the third pick in 1981, makes his first interception. And getting that starting spot with the injury to Norris Thomas. And Neil Colsey saying that Holt gives us a little more speed. He said the rest of us are a little older and slower. It's nice to have some speed out there in the corner and Holt. So let's see what the Bucks can do. Goldstein continues at quarterback. He's got a man open. The pass intended for Kevin House is incomplete. It was too low, and House claiming that he scooped it up before it hit the carpet. The officials ruling otherwise.
It looked like he may have trapped it. He was open. The pass was a little bit down here, but it does look like the ball scoops on the bottom. See, it did hit the ground.
Question. Nice try of
but it was a nice try by Kevin House, who has a little bit of a groin pull. He strained it in practice, but he seems to be running okay today. And, of course, he's had big days against the Chicago Bears.
They do fear him. This is James Owen with Mike Singletary in pursuit. Singletary knifed into the backfield and then wound up in a lateral foot race with the running back Owens, and Singletary caught up with him. There'll be no gain on the play, maybe a loss of a half yard. Mike Singletary. Had a nice chat with him the other day out at Lake Forest, the Bears training camp site. He is such an intense football player. Intense has become a real cliche in sports terminology, but there is a guy that adjective fits perfectly, because Singletary just loves to play. He likes to be a leader. He loves being in the middle. He wants to be the best middle linebacker in football, and he's giving it a good try. 3rd and 11. Extra defensive backs in for the Bears. They go to Carter, and it is incomplete. Again, it's Walt Williams arriving when the ball did, and Carter was unable once more to hang on almost identical play to the last time Williams broke it up just moments ago.
Now, the Bears, they were in a tight formation, so the Bears had their extra defensive back, and Williams is a free guy. He's just coming over here to pick up the back. He got screened out for a while, but by the time Goldstein could get the ball out there, here comes Walt Williams to bounce Gerald Carter once again and stop the drive.
4th down. Frank Garcia has himself another busy afternoon. He's waiting for the snap at the Tampa 50, and let's fly another high one this time. It gets a Bears bounce and is down by the Buccaneers. Number 44, Dwayne Osteen, activated last week with the injury to Mark Cotney, putting him on injured reserve. Osteen back as a Buccaneer. 23-yard punt. We'll be back. 8:58 remaining first half.
One more set, guys?
Nah, you guys are just too tough today.
For Michelob Light?
You should have quit while you were ahead.
Michelob Light for the win. Would good friends play this hard for a beer? Well, it is Michelob Light, a rich, smooth taste you can compare to any beer you like.
Michelob Light for the winner. I don't get it. You guys killed us.
Don't blame us. You suggested we play for a Michelob Light.
Michelob Light.
Esther, you did send that Federal Express, didn't you?
Oh, yes, Mr. Bogus, you're covered.
Oh, Ed, you did send that Federal, didn't you?
Yes, Fred, we're covered. You sent that thing Federal, didn't you, Nick?
Yes, sir.
Good. I'm covered.
I'm covered.
I'm covered.
Hey,
I'm covered.
Are you covered? I'm covered.
I'm covered. Are you covered?
I'm covered. Are you covered?
I think we're all covered.
I'm covered if he's covered.
Cover yourself with Federal Express. Why fool around with anyone else?
Dennis Weaver, Susan Day, Andrew Stevens, Maude Adams. Monday nights this fall, Emerald Point will set your screen on fire.
Down by Dwayne Osteen. In the pro set, Suey and Payton. Dashnagel right, Marjoram left. Walter Payton, nowhere to go. Now he breaks loose and gets out to the 20-yard line. There's a piece of Walter Payton. Hugh Green was the man to pull him down. He ran into a brick wall of white shirts and somehow got about 4 out of it, maybe 5.
Well, I'll tell you what, David Logan and the rest of the gang just jammed up. You can't even see Payton anymore. They might even claim a slow whistle on that baby, but Payton just jammed out there, and of course he had number 53, Hugh Green, one-on-one there, and Green made the tackle.
Winds up as a 6-yard gain for Walter Payton, who's up to 33 yards on the day in the rushing department. 2nd and 4 from the 20-yard line. Galt and McKinnon now the wide receivers. Payton again right up the middle, and he will be close to the first down, and depending on where they spot it, he ran through the nose tackle David Logan.
That's right, Logan was right there. Logan was right there. You see Hilgenberg, 63, the center, blocking on Dave Logan. Pretty good stand-up block, but he throws Hilgenberg aside, but by the time he gets himself set, Payton's on the way through, and you got to get 2 hands on him, and Logan missed out on that one, but he did jam up the middle. He's always there. You can't knock him down very easily. And, you know, he's one of those nose guards, you know. They take a lot of punishment there. All those double blocks that we saw, 2-time blocks. And
I like the way you were campaigning with him yesterday for more money. I mean, you were saying
yeah.
Nose tackles unite. He liked the sound of that, too. It is 3rd and very short. Maybe they should pay them a double salary since they're doing the job of 2 tackles inside. Boy, that'll cause some concern in management. 3rd and very short. Matt Suey to the 25-yard line around the first down marker. Did he get it? Jeff Davis stacked him up, the linebacker, number 58.
It looks like he might have it. Scott Brantley got through there and almost stopped him. Number 52 knifed through as they doubled Logan again. But Brantley made the hit, but Suey had too much momentum to get the first down.
It is first down for the Chicago Bears out to their 25-yard line. Hilgenberg continuing to play at center for Dan Neal, who started. Bears with 5 first downs to 2 for Tampa Bay. Neither team, as we commented, has been able to move the football. Deep for Galt. Broken up by Mike Washington at the last minute and intercepted. Intercepted by Cedric Brown, number 34, off the tip from Mike Washington, and Brown returns it all the way to the 45-yard line. What an alert grab by Cedric Brown as he picked it off when it had been broken up by Washington, and Johnny Washington looked at just the last second. And credit to Washington, who was step for step with Galt.
And here's the end of the play as Galt had himself a step lead, but the pass was a little short. You see he's starting to glide because the pass is a little bit behind him. And then Washington just got his hand up there, batted away, and there is Cedric Brown with the interception. Good play by number 34 and number 40. Tampa Bay has the ball, and they have it at the 46-yard line.
That's the most excitement we've had since Jeff Fisher's punt catch. We'll be back.
Giving that extra effort makes winners. Be all you can be. Sponsored by the U.S. Army.
Church will field it at the 8. He's to the 10, the 15. Upchurch gets a block. Breaks a tackle at the 35, and he may go.
Rick Upchurch is the NFL's all-time punt return leader with nearly 3,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. Extra effort at his hazardous job has made Rick Upchurch the best that he can be.
A Ranger never takes the easy way out.
You're reaching deep inside you for things you never know. Go!
That's why getting into the Rangers is tough, and the training is tough.
Be all that you can be.
So it makes me feel like I'm part of something really special.
Be all that you can be.
And I'm not the only one.
You can do it in the Army.
sponsored by the U.S. Army.
Church will field it at the 8. He's to the 10, the 15. Upchurch gets a block. Breaks a tackle at the 35, and he may go.
Rick Upchurch is the NFL's all-time punt return leader with nearly 3,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. Extra effort at his hazardous job has made Rick Upchurch the best that he can be.
A Ranger never takes the easy way out.
You're reaching deep inside you for things you've never known. Go!
That's why getting into the Rangers is tough, and the training is tough.
Be all that you can be.
So it makes me feel like I'm part of something really special.
Be all that you can be.
And I'm not the only one.
You can do it in the Army.
6:39 to go first half. Scoreless football game. Cedric Brown, number 34 out of Kent State, a free agent picked up from Oakland, makes a dazzling interception, and the Buccaneers have first down and now second after the gain of about 3 as James Owens, diving straight ahead, got it to the 48-yard line. 26 career receptions for Cedric Brown, ties him with his teammate Mike Washington in that category on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Actually, Washington should have 26 and a half, wouldn't you say, since he helped that on that interception?
He made a good play. The ball did seem to hang there a little bit, and I had given Washington credit for staying step with Galt, but that really was not the case, as you can see on the replay. Goldstein down the middle for Giles. Gary Fensick had that one figured all the way, but could not hang on to the football, but Fensick breaks up the touchdown try to Jimmy Giles.
Okay, this is what they've done against the Bears quite successfully with Giles, as he goes straight down on an arrow pattern. Todd Bell is the strong safety. Gary Fensick is the free safety. Now you can see if he's hit a little bit earlier, but the pass hangs up, and 45 comes over from his free safety spot and knocks the ball down. Mike Richardson was there also, so they had him inside, outside, deep.
6 defensive backs are in for the Bears on third down. Goldstein, good catch by Carter. Carter with a good move. Gerald Carter, the 10. Gerald Carter, is he in or not? He's out at the 1-yard line. Gerald Carter, and what a move he put on Mike Richardson, the rookie from Arizona State, turning him around.
And the key was Walt Williams, 43, slipped on his coverage and fell down. And then when Carter came back, he was just getting up off the ground. But that was the key, is Gerald Carter. Now, if you watch this pass, now watch Carter turn here, and there's 43 getting up. That's Walt Williams, who slipped on the coverage. He would have been there, but that's the way football goes. He came back against the grain, turned on the speed, almost got all the way, and finally, Todd Bell, 25, knocks him out of bounds at the 1-yard line.
51-yard play for Gerald Carter from Jerry Goldstein, and here is
Wilder.
Wow, is he hit by Singletary. Mike Singletary, and there's somebody underneath as well, but it was Singletary. They really straightened him up, and it is 98, and that is Tyrone Keys, the rookie defensive end from Mississippi State, but Mike Singletary really popped it.
He certainly did. That's what those linebackers do down on that goal line. Look where Singletary is, way back in the end zone, number 50. And watch, he could come dime. He gets a full head of steam. Here gets Wilder, gets the ball, goes up over everybody, and puts the clamps on Wilder.
Second and goal for the Buccaneers. In the throw set. Goldstein to throw. Has the time. There's the man.
No.
He was out of bounds. He was out of bounds. It was Melvin Carver, number 28. But he was standing in the white when he caught the ball, so it is incomplete. Third and goal.
Actually, what happens, it was the way his feet were when he was in the end zone. He came down on his knees with his toes backwards rather than coming straight down, or he would have had a touchdown. It's just a matter of technique, because he was clear. He was wide open.
Terrell and Frazier come into the Bears defense. Keys and
wouldn't that be something if they have to set it for 3 points?
3 tight ends are in for Tampa Bay on the third down play. Play action. Goldstein trying to run, will not get there. And it was Al Harris, number 90, putting the grab on him and forcing fourth down. Gary Fensick right there with him. And the Bears come up with a big defensive play.
On the quarterback rollout, Mike Hartenstein, number 73, does a good job of turning this back in. And then you're going to see Harris. There's Hartenstein turning Goldstein in. Here comes Harris from the backside, and Gary Finsick, 45, on the tackle, and they stop him. They'll settle for 3 points, and that 1 yard, Gerald Carter's probably talking to himself. If I could have gotten 1 yard further.
Bill Capice with the field goal try, a 20-yarder, which is good. And so we have our first points of the day. And it came off the interception by Brown, the 51-yard pass play to Carter to the 1 yard line. The saving tackle down there by the Bears, Todd Bell, turned out to be a big one. And then Harris doing the job on the quarterback, Goldstein, so it is a 3-point margin for Tampa Bay.
You know, when you come right down to it, they had 4 downs. They had 3 downs to go a yard. If you can't do that, you don't deserve a touchdown, right?
True enough. That's probably what John McKay is thinking to himself. Although he is saying, well, we're up. We got 3, they got zipped. 4:10 remaining in the first half. Next week on CBS Sports, our NFL lineup begins with the NFL today, and these Bears will be at New Orleans against Trump Phillips and the Saints. Tampa Bay will be at home to Minnesota as it's a doubleheader afternoon on CBS. The Rams at Green Bay, the Giants at Dallas. Check your local listings for the games and times in your area. Green Bay, meanwhile, as I know we are being seen there today, they are now in front of the Steelers 14-13. Lynn Dickey with his second touchdown pass to James Lofton. They both been bombs too, Johnny.
71 yards and 73 yards. I think the Packers have some offense. Franco Harris scored a touchdown for Pittsburgh.
Capice with a kickoff here in Chicago. It's taken by Hutchison, the rookie, number 32. Hutchison gets to the 22-yard line. Anthony Hutchison before he's pulled down by number 55, Danny Spradlin, reserve linebacker, and Michael Morton, reserve running back, number 1. An 8-yard return for Hutchison. John McKay talking things over with the coaches upstairs. The Bucks going 53 yards in 7 plays, using up 2:29 on the clock. A 20-yard field goal by Bill Capice, our only points of the afternoon with 4 minutes to play. First down for the Chicago Bears. Bashnagle moves into the slot left. The give is to Suey. Suey going straight ahead, picks up about 4 yards over the middle of the Tampa Bay defense. Scott Brantley, number 52, on the tackle.
I see that Jay Hilgenberg is playing a lot of center for the Bears. Dan Neal is not in there. I don't know if he got an injury. We'll try and find out if there's an injury report on him, but it's been mostly Hilgenberg, as the Bears have not done too much in the way of motion or you know, a lot of fancy stuff that they have done during the exhibition season. They've been playing fairly conservative so far.
2nd and 5. Play action, slow developing. McMahon has Payton wide open. 30-yard line to the 10. Touchdown. Walter Payton took 2 Bucks with him for the last 10 yards. Holt and Brown were unable to keep Walter Payton out of the end zone. A 73-yard touchdown play.
What a super run. He got open down the sidelines as the Bears did all kinds of things here on the fakes. They faked an end-around reverse with McMahon, who held the ball, and you'll see Payton all by himself, and then he takes it down the sidelines, but you'd never know. He has that stutter step. That was Holt giving a try at him. They tried to hit him high. He goes into the end zone. You cannot hit Walter Payton high. Cedric Brown tried to hit him high, and he just juked them out, both of them, and went in. Great play.
Bob Thomas in for the point after his first action of the day, and it is good. So as the Bucks scored on a field goal, the Bears responded with a 73-yard touchdown play. 77 yards in 2 plays, the drive, if you can call it that. And the Chicago Bears are on top 7-3. We have 3:12 remaining here in the first half.
Walter Payton, he's something else. He's got a great straight arm. He's got great speed, great change of directions, stutter speed. He can, you know, shift his speed so well that he can just fake you out. You just don't know what to do.
And the strength. We saw Cedric Brown with a grab of his jersey at about the 5-yard line, and As you pointed out, that isn't going to get it done. You got to get his feet out from under him, which is not so easy either, but he just showed his strength by just lugging Brown into the end zone.
That's the longest touchdown pass against Tampa Bay since 1980, and it comes from a running back, Walter Payton.
Perfectly executed play by Jim McMahon, who faked beautifully. Indeed, it seemed to me it was almost too long developing, but as it turned out, when they faked that reverse to Galt, he was just buying more and more time for Payton to get wide open.
It just kind of froze the Tampa defense for just a slight moment, and they got a little confused on their coverage.
Thomas will kick it off. The deep man for the Buccaneers, Michael Morton, number 1, and James Owens, number 26. It is Owens over the 30 to the 41-yard line. An outstanding return for the Buccaneers, who quickly get good field possession with lots of time left in this first half. Terry Schmidt on the tackle. 31-yard return.
We just checked the books, and we found out that's the longest pass reception in the history of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Bucs. That one right there.
All right. Tampa now from their own 41-yard line. They come out in the I formation, Carter left, House right. Second man is James Owens, and Owens gets 2. Otis Wilson, number 55, on the tackle. 2nd and 8.
Well, John McKay's got to be wondering about his quarterback situation. Will he do this week what he did last week, go to Jack Thompson? Is he going to play 2 quarterbacks forever, or is he going to, he says they're so equal that it's hard to make a decision, but that he's going to make one here soon.
Loose ball right after the pass from center is covered by Goldstein. There'll be no gain on the play. Well, let's take a quick look at a couple of scores from elsewhere as John McKay looks on somewhat disconsolately. Cleveland in front of the Detroit Lions, who were winners over Tampa last week. The Browns leading the Lions 14-7. And Dallas St. Louis continues to be a 10-7 football game with the Cowboys trailing in the second period. Ron Springs got the Cowboys on the board. Washington in front of Philadelphia 7-0, and an update on that now 7-3 on a Tony Franklin field goal for Philadelphia. Third down, and the 2-minute warning has sounded here in Chicago. It'll be 3rd and a long 8 when we return to Soldier Field with the Buccaneers in possession at their own 43-yard line, trailing in the football game with 2 minutes to play in the half, 7-3.
I'm Danny White of the Dallas Cowboys, inviting you to a special celebration. Now, from out of the past, the NFL and the United Way are bringing you a special salute to all the teams and players and volunteers who have been part of the longest-running public service series in sports television. It started back in 1973 when another Cowboy quarterback brought you the story of Gay Levon, a child who survived critical heart surgery. And over the years, more than 350 players have shown you how the United Way is working in towns and cities all across the nation. The 10 years that the series has run, United Ways have raised over $14 billion. And each year, those funds reach more than 37,000 health and human care agencies and services. This year, as we present a retrospect of the best of the series and some of the new stars of the NFL, we hope you will be watching, so that we can say thanks, because thanks to you, it works for all of us. The United Way.
The preceding message was brought to you by the National Football League. 3 wide receivers are in for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 6 men in the secondary, the Chicago Bears, on a big 3rd down for Tampa Bay from their own 43-yard line. It is 3rd and 8. And you can see that they are only 1 for 7 today, converting on 3rd down. The Bears are doing quite well. Goldstein is 2 for 8 in passing. Avoids the rush and completes a wobbly pass to Carter out to midfield. It's short of the 1st down. Making the hit was Walt Williams, number 43, and Carter must be tired of seeing Walt Williams around the ball every time it comes to him.
Well, he stopped him, too. He made no progress after catching the ball. Of course, sometimes it's a little tough on a receiver. You're concentrating on catching it, and you can't get your momentum going. But the Bucs are going to play it safe. Apparently, they're going to punt the ball with about a half a yard to go for a 1st down.
The ball at midfield. It's 4th and a little under a yard, and Garcia in the punt, standing at his own 35. 7-3 ball game. I got to take the percentage call there. Jeff Fisher dropped immediately. Good tackle downfield by Dwayne Osteen, number 44. As soon as Fisher had the ball, Osteen had him, and so the Bears have first down at their own 12-yard line with 1 minute and 8 seconds remaining. And of course, coming up in that time, official playing time, we will have all of the scores and stories. Brent Nerve with scores and highlights from around the National Football League, a report from the U.S. Open, where later today Yvonne Lindell meets Jimmy Connors. So stay with us at halftime.
Let's see how the Bears do it now. They're down deep in their own territory. There's plenty of time to go downfield, 1 minute and 8. Let's see if they play it safe or go for it.
McMahon is 7 of 12 for 98 yards, and he will throw on first down. Up the middle to Moorhead. Nice catch. Moorhead has a first down after the 25-yard line. Number 53, Hugh Green, made the initial contact, and Scott Brantley, his linebacking teammate, number 52, was there. First down for the Bears. They're in a 2-minute drill, 49 seconds and counting. McMahon has time. Can't find an open man now. Almost picked off, intended for Marjoram, and it is Mike Washington, number 40, who nearly had another Bucs interception. 39 seconds on the clock as it is stopped with the incompletion.
Willie Galt is now coming in the game, number 83, and he'll, of course, bring in the call for Jim McMahon, which comes from the bench from Ed Hughes, who is the offensive coordinator.
Jim McMahon told us on Friday, as we look at his stats, that he did feel the pressure to perform last week after a preseason in which he was not exactly dazzling. He acknowledged that, said, yes, I wanted to do well last week, and I should have done better. Second down for Galt. Galt had to come back to the ball. He has the first down, and he is stopped at the 45-yard line, covered there by Andy Hawkins and Johnny Holt.
Well, Johnny Holt was playing way deep. He wasn't going to let him get behind him with 30-some seconds to go. You can see he's 12 yards off, and let's see where Galt, when he ends up 10 yards down the field, Holt is still about 10 yards off. He goes down, just stops and turns in, and Holt comes up to make the tackle. But you can't blame Johnny Holt for that kind of coverage. He doesn't want Willie Galt to get behind him with 30 seconds to go. You have to depend on linebacker help in that kind of a situation.
Bears took a timeout with 32 seconds on the clock, and getting back to our conversation with Jim McMahon, you know, he took the blame for the 2 passes that I think most everybody else would say were not his fault, the drops by Moorhead and Bashnagel last week in the game against Atlanta. But he said, you know, I didn't throw a good pass to Brian, and I take the blame for that. He just wants so badly to do well, and there's no question that last week was an important start of this sophomore season for him, and his numbers were outstanding. 20 of 29, had himself a fine afternoon, rolling up 254 yards and a touchdown. Had the 1 interception. He said, I should never have thrown that ball. But we know that there's a lot of fine football ahead for this young man. I suppose the questions will linger about whether he can get the ball deep. And, of course, he's confident he can throw the long ball. We only had 1 example of it so far today. It did come up a little short, intended for Galt. The one that was knocked away by Washington turned into an interception. Dave Stahl's in defensively for the Buccaneers. McMahon has lots of time directing traffic, trying to find an open man. Now he's going to run with the ball, trying to get the first down before he goes out. With 20 seconds on the clock. Out of bounds at the 46-yard line of Tampa Bay.
Well, the Bucs are using just a 3-man rush as they normally do and dropping everybody off. McMahon easily got out of the pocket, and there were people that popped open all for 5 or 6 seconds, but when you're running around, you can't see them all. They're maybe running on one side of the field and you're running the other way, but he is so good at getting out of the pocket and staying away from the rush, and as long as Tampa Bay uses a 3-man rush, whether it's Selman or not, or David Logan, when you have 5 or 6 blockers on him, it's pretty tough for them to get there.
He is short of the first down. It'll be 2nd and 1, 20 seconds on the clock. Out of the I formation. Blitz action. The blitz is on. He dumps it off nicely to Payton. Payton gets away from 1 man, is out of bounds at the 38-yard line A Bears first down with 13 seconds on the clock. They had a good rush on them that time with a blitz. Andy Hawkins, number 59, leading the charge.
It's one of their few blitzes. They rushed 3 rushmen plus 1 linebacker, and they happened to go right into a screen pass, and that's just exactly what the Bears would want you to do because they were screening right where Hawkins was leaving from. So they're getting down. With 1 more completion, they can possibly kick a field goal. Hawkins, 59, coming from the outside, but the screen is right over to the area where he came from, and Payton, with another pass reception, gets away from number 20, Neil Colsey, and is finally knocked out of bounds right there. Stop the clock.
Bears use another timeout here with 13 seconds remaining in the half. They've got 1 to call as McMahon talks things over with Mike Ditka, Ed Hughes.
McMahon is an interesting young man. He had a terrible accident when he was 6 years old. He was trying to cut a thing on his belt with a fork, and it jammed up and hit him in the eye and did some damage to his cornea, so he can't see beyond about 80 or 90 yards. But he says in football it doesn't really matter too much. I guess it doesn't, but he came back from that, has to wear dark glasses all the time because of the light that goes into his eyes from bright sunshine. So it's very tender, and it's something he has to be very careful of. But in a football game, he says he kind of just forgets about it. Just once in a while, he has a little pain from the light. But it doesn't seem to hurt his football. Jim McMahon out of BYU was an all-around athlete in high school.
Well, we're close to halftime, and we'll be keeping you up to date with all of the activity around the NFL today. Brent Nerve with scores and highlights. And, of course, a special update report on the upcoming men's singles final at Flushing Meadow in New York. Jimmy Connors and Yvonne Lendl. First down for the Bears. 13 seconds on the clock. They come out in a wide pro set with Suey and Payton. Dashnagle and Dalton, the wide receivers. Payton out of the backfield is hit by Hawkins immediately. Picked up about 5. A little extra rough stuff now going on between Logan and Keith Van Horn. A little pushing and shoving here just to add a little spice to the game. 6 seconds on the clock. And Mike Ditka out there with other members of the Bears coaching staff saying, come on, guys, keep it going here. Now, a timeout has been called.
It would be about a 47-yard field goal or 48-yard field goal for Bob Thomas. He's capable of hitting that distance, and he does have the wind behind him. Bob Thomas, who was near perfect during the exhibition, only missed 1 during the exhibition season.
He's standing there right at the 40-yard line as his team huddles to his left. He's got his spot, and it would be a 50-yard try from there.
Former Notre Damer, remember he kicked that big field goal in the Cotton Bowl a few years ago? I think when they beat Houston, wasn't it?
He's had some big ones in the pros as well.
Yes, he has.
What a half for Walter Payton. 94 yards.
Well, it'll be 50 yards now.
36 yards on 9 carries rushing. 50-yard try for Bob Thomas. Dashnagle will hold, and there's movement along the line. Flags everywhere. Both teams pointing at each other and saying, it was him, no, it was him, no, it was him, ref.
Now, a Tampa Bay defensive lineman did jump off sides. Then the Bears moved. The important thing is if he made contact when he came across. If he made contact, then it will go against Tampa Bay.
Well, the Bears won the finger pointing here.
Because, yes, that's a big one. That's a big one. 5 yards make a big difference in this field goal attempt.
Referee Ben Grice figured the Bears pointed better.
Defense
made contact. That's a big play to the 28-yard line. That makes it a little easier for Thomas. 45-yard try. Still 6 seconds on the clock. There's none elapsing during that infraction. Now the whistle again, just as Thomas let it fly. Let's see who gets the call this time. Hilgenberg was knocked on his backside as soon as the ball was snapped, or slightly before. It looks like this
guard
was
with a false start.
False start against the Bears.
So now it's going to go back 5 yards. So they'll be back where they began.
This is taking longer to finish than a basketball game.
What's Bob Thomas thinking? He wants to get that kick off.
Put 6 seconds back on the clock.
He got a practice try. You can hear the referee right saying, let's go back to the original time remaining, 6 seconds, because again we had an infraction. So no time should have elapsed since that penalty was whistled before the ball was snapped.
There should be 6 seconds on the clock.
Well, we'll see if Ben gets his way. There it is. That gets some applause.
There is Bob Thomas was all by himself while the team huddled off over to the side. They just let the kicker meditate and think for himself. Nobody talks to him.
Well, here he is back where he started. 50-yard try. He's had one practice shot from 45. It's good. A 50-yard field goal for Bob Thomas.
Now he can laugh and smile. He had to wait a long time for his chance, and it didn't bother him. He put it right between the uprights, and the Bears have taken the lead by a score of 10-3. A young man who went through a lot of aches and pains last year when the Bears cut him in favor of John Rivetto. He was picked up by Detroit, then cut by Detroit, and came back to the Bears and was near perfect, and there he is, number 16, Bob Thomas, one of the premier kickers, the all-time field goal kicker in Chicago Bear history. That's what football's all about, isn't it?
50-yard field goal for Bob Thomas, and with 1 second now to play in this first half, a 10-3 football game for the Chicago Bears, and obviously lots of football remaining in a one-touchdown margin. Neither team able to get a lot of offense going until near the end of the second period, when the Bucks had the interception by Brown, the bomb to Gerald Carter, the field goal by Capice, and then the Bears responding with the bomb to Walter Payton. And Thomas's field goal. A squib kickoff mishandled by Obradovich, and goes out of bounds as the half comes to a close. Well, there's Bob Thomas feeling pretty good about things right now. He got a good kickoff off that Obradovich was unable to do anything with. He has kicked a 50-yard field goal to open a touchdown margin over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I would say overall this had to be a defensive first half. I think the key decision that's going to be made in the locker rooms, especially as the Buccaneers are concerned, is whether they're going to come back with Jerry Goldstein or whether they're going to go to Jack Thompson as they did last week. That's the dilemma that John McKay faces as he goes into the locker room, because the offense really did not overall move the ball, with the exception of that one play, which was a good play by the Buccaneers, but because of a slippage of a Bear player, you know, they didn't have any real drives going, and I think this is where McKay has to make his decision. What do you think? What do you think he'll do?
Well, I'm going to predict that we'll see Thompson before the end of the game. How's that for a waffly prediction?
I would go along with that. I think that he'll do the same thing. I agree with you. For the Bears, it's Jim McMahon. The big play, of course, an individual super effort by Walter Payton as he caught a pass that should have been 30 or 40 yards. He took it all the way on his individual ability, put the Bears on top, and the momentum seemed to swing towards the end of the first half. And a key area of the game, I think, was when a minute to play, the Bears had the ball on their own 12 with a 7-3 lead, decided to go for the marbles. Rather than play it out, they threw a pass on first down, moved it out, went down, and got the field goal.
I think that is that's a very good point, and is perhaps a symbol of Mike Ditka offensive thinking, his aggressive style, his decision to say, hey, let's go for it here. Let's not play it safe. Let's try and move the ball up the field and get some more points, and he has the confidence that his young team can do it for him.
Well, that's the kind of a person he is. That's why George Halas hired him. He's an aggressive, offensive-minded player. When he played, he was that way. When he played, he was an aggressive football player. He always wanted to go on 4th 1. He always wanted to throw the ball. He always wanted to make some action, make football fun and entertaining. Too many years the Chicago Bears have been a team that has been run on 1st and 2nd and throw on 3rd.
Well, the Bears lead so far, but there's 30 minutes still to go. From Soldier Field in Chicago, it's 10-3 Bears.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by AC Delco, General Motors Corporation, AC Delco is the way to go. Federal Express, when you have a package that absolutely positively has to be there overnight. Federal Express. And by a tool for modern times, the IBM personal computer.
Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris back at Soldier Field in Chicago, where the Bears lead Tampa Bay 10-3 as we begin the third period of play. And Jerry Goldstein for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was just 3 of 9 for 62 yards in the first half. Last week, John McKay gave him the hook after the first half against Detroit and brought in Jack Thompson. Now, whether that's going to be the case for the second half, we'll find out momentarily. The Bears will be kicking off. There is a look at the throwing Samoan from Seattle, Washington, Jack Thompson. And in first downs, you can see the Bears with a commanding margin, 10-3, and 210 yards total. Of course, much of that on 73 from Walter Payton on the touchdown play.
Even though time of possession closed up a bit, it was the Bears' first half. They did better on offense and really had almost double the yardage of Tampa Bay, but the lead is not that big, and it's the same thing that happened to the Bears last week. They were ahead, but wound up losing the football game because Mike Ditka said they didn't play 60 minutes of football. So the second half is going to be key. There's a long time to go, and Tampa Bay's defense, despite being behind, has done a credible job.
Bob Thomas to kick it off, and the Tampa Bay deep men standing at the 1-yard line. Michael Morton, number 1, and James Owens, number 26. Bob Thomas not happy with the way that ball is teed up and takes a little extra time. And just a few moments ago here, you probably saw at halftime from New York the tribute to Buddy Young, the player relations director. The National Football League died last week, and he, being a Chicagoan who went to high school here, received a tribute here at halftime. And it is James Owens bringing the ball out to the Buccaneers and nearly breaking loose. He got out to the 29-yard line, and it'll be pretty good field position for the Bucs. Well, let's go back and see the big play of the first half. Number 34, who has 94 yards on 5 catches and 36 yards rushing on 9 carries, made the big one for Chicago.
It was the fake of the end around which froze the Tampa Bay defense, which went to the right, but no matter what happens, you can't let Walter Payton get down there all by himself. There wasn't anybody within 10 yards of him as he made the grab, and then it was individual effort, great straight arm, and he got himself into the end zone. Goldstein still at quarterback.
Goldstein on first down has a completed pass and a first down to Gerald Carter. Carter, who made the big play for the Bucs in the first half with a 51-yard reception, setting up the Bill Capice field goal. The 4-year man from Texas A&M, rookie Mike Richardson, makes the tackle. So Jerry Goldstein gets a vote of confidence thus far from his coach John McKay and completes his first pass of the second half. Now, he is throwing into the wind here, starting this third period. And we'll see if the wind proves to be an advantage for either passer, as interestingly last week the wind was blowing in the opposite direction here at Soldier Field and completely turned around this week. That's the way winds work on Lake Michigan. Measurement here, I thought he had the first down yardage, Johnny. It's going to be close, about 4 inches, so we'll call it second and less than the length of a football.
We should mention that he's throwing against the wind, as he did mostly in the second quarter. He's doing that again in the third quarter.
4 of 10 now for Goldstein, and he dives for the first down to the 40-yard line of Tampa Bay. They trail by only a converted touchdown. Both teams looking for their first victories of the season. When we talked to Goldstein about the quarterback situation, he seemed fairly sanguine about the idea of 1 and 1A and thought that Coach McKay would stay with this so-called 2-quarterback situation as long as things went well for the team. He didn't see an immediate change or an immediate decision on the part of Coach McKay, since McKay had indicated through the preseason he was unable to choose a number 1. Thompson, on the other hand, I think is expecting that there will be a decision one way or the other very soon, possibly by the end of this football game. Goldstein on the first down, has a completion to Jimmy Giles and a gain of about 9 yards to the 49-yard line. Fensick and Todd Bell, the safeties, make the tackle.
And they completed this pass in a lot of traffic. Giles has averaged 17 yards per catch against the Chicago Bears. I mean, he gets a deep threat for him. Singletary was to the inside, so he pushes off Singletary, comes back to the outside, obvious adjustment in the pattern, and Gary Fensick, number 45, comes up to make the tackle along with Todd Bell, 25.
Second and a yard to go. And it is a first down play for James Owens, who really dove in there, tripped up by Singletary behind the line of scrimmage, but his momentum carrying him to the first down. So the Buccaneers are moving it out smartly here on their first offensive series of the second half.
And he did what Melvin Carver did not do last week that upset John McKay. He took a dive up and over and got the first down, and that's one reason that Carver not playing all that much, because he didn't obey instructions last week.
I think we'll see more of Melvin Carver, though, in the Bucs' future. He's a good one from UNLV, Las Vegas. It is first down in the 49-yard line of the Bears. Quickly out to Kevin House. Stopped by Todd Bell as soon as he caught the ball. Another completion for Goldstein and a gain of about 6 yards.
And you can see what they're doing to House. They're covering him short and deep. That was the strong safety, Todd Bell, who came up to the short zone, and Richardson was playing off deep. So one thing they're not going to let Tampa Bay do is get Kevin House deep. That's one of their aims, because they feel that House is the man that can really hurt them.
Second down at the Bears' 44-yard line. 2nd and 5 for Tampa Bay. Into the slot goes Owens. 6 secondary men for Chicago, and Goldstein had one-on-one intended for number 83, Theo Bell. On the coverage was Mike Richardson, and he had him covered all the way. A flag is down on the play.
He's going to call one or the other for offensive pass interference. Either they look like they're both kind of jostling, and whether he gives it to the offense or defense, we'll see. It's against Chicago, so they called it on Richardson, 27, who is the rookie out of Arizona State, who was beaten last week a couple of times.
Holding number 27. That's a first down.
They called it holding on Mike Richardson. Ben Bright, the referee. And it may have been that he just got a little grab on him as he made his cut. So it's a first down for Tampa Bay, and they're now at the 39-yard line of the Bears and marching. Wide to the left, Carter. The shift to the eye. Owens the deep back. Give it to Owens, and he is racked up by Mike Singletary. Singletary nailed him behind the line for a loss of a yard. You know, I asked Mike Singletary what would be the ideal game. If he could imagine in his mind, what would be his ideal game? He said, I'd like to make 20 tackles. He didn't hesitate telling me this either. I'd like to make 20 tackles. I'd like to make 3 interceptions. I'd like to recover 2 fumbles and take 1 for a touchdown.
Boy, he aims high, doesn't he?
And he said that would be about as ideal a game as I can imagine at linebacker. He may have one before his career is over, this young man. Baylor, number 2 pick in 81. 2nd and 11. Pass complete to Owens out of the backfield. He is dropped at the Bears' 32-yard line. And it is Singletary over there in pass coverage. And I guess if they thought that this is what he still had to develop, it was pass coverage, I think the Bears are giving more of an opportunity for him on passing downs.
They certainly are. We're going to take a look at the Bears' pass defense. Now watch the double coverage on the outside guys. Now watch the top of the screen. You can see the linebacker going back to the zone there on the wide receiver, and then the defensive back and the free man. So they had everybody back on pass defense. Makes it tough to complete it, but the Buccaneers did.
Makes a 3rd and a long 2 for Tampa Bay. They're in Bears territory on the march. Goldstein, quick release to the tight end, Giles, first down to the Bears' 26-yard line. Nice play, a little look in, an old-fashioned play. Walt Williams making the tackle.
Excellent play by Goldstein, because the Bears put on a blitz. You'll see 25 and 55. A linebacker, Otis Wilson, number 55, coming through right there. He's picked up. Here comes the throw. Giles was alert that it was going to be a quicker pass than normally anticipated, and Walt Williams has to hang on to make the tackle. Good thinking by Goldstein.
The shift to the eye with Owens, the trailing back behind Wilder. To give us to Wilder, the lead back. He is tackled right at the line of scrimmage. Jim Osborne, number 68, making the ankle grab on him, and then Hampton and Harris getting in on the action. 99 and 90. So the ball remains at the 24-yard line, just inside the 25, 2nd and 9.
Now they have a 2nd and 9 situation. John McKay's very close to the calls that come in. Boyd Dowler obviously has a lot to do with the play calling. McKay okays just about everything. Let's see if he goes with a pass. Obviously, I think they have to.
Carter and House, the wide receivers. Owens moves into the slot left. Goldstein has time, has a man, and underthrows him. He was open. Owens out of the backfield was wide open. That was 6. Goldstein did not deliver the ball.
Okay, let's take a look at the second man. He goes to the outside. Right there, Owens, the running back, and he's in the triangle. He's between the 3 dark jerseys, and he's wide open, and Goldstein just underthrows him, and that's one thing, you know, you don't like to say, hey, Doug Williams could have hit him, because Doug Williams missed passes too, but he had a strong arm. He usually overthrow rather than underthrow.
Well, that was badly underthrown. There's no escaping that. Let's see if he can rebound from it. 3rd down. Now the play tougher and bigger for Jerry Goldstein. Gets the time again, delivers that one to Giles. Jimmy Giles blast down to the goal line. Will they let him in or not? So far, no signal. He has stopped right at the goal line. Les Frazier and Gary Fensick made the tackle, while Goldstein zipped that one in right on target.
He certainly did, and it was number 25, Todd Bell, on the coverage. As you'll see, Goldstein looked for Giles. 88 bounces off of Todd Bell, breaks the tackle from Bell, and then goes up the field, puts his head down. Looked like he almost got in there. Finally, everybody else converges, and there's Fensick and Frazier on the tackle. They're down to the half-yard line, but remember, they were down to the 1 before and did not get the touchdown.
3 tight ends are in for Tampa Bay. They shift to the eye. Wilder the lead back. Owens behind him. Owens, touchdown. James Owens diving into the end zone. So Jerry Goldstein, very much to his credit, rebounded from missing what appeared to be a sure touchdown, delivering the pass to Giles and taking the Bucks into the end zone.
And this time you saw number 50, Singletary, come flying through again. But Owens did a good job of getting up and over the middle linebacker who tried to jam things up. There's 50, and he's hit, and Owens goes up and over. Nice dive, and the Buccaneers can tie it right now.
Bill Capice has the point after, and we have a tie football game as Jerry Goldstein went 6 for 7 on that drive of 61 yards and took the Bucks into the end zone, so that we have ourselves a tie football game with 8:16 to go here in the 3rd quarter. And Bill Capice, a real pepper pot on that Bucks team, trying to fire them up, see if they can get the ball back and take the lead. We'll be back in a moment.
We are USA 1, taking charge with tough, easy-to-own transportation like Chevy Chevette. While Ford's 83 base Escort suggested retail price went up, the lowest price Chevy Chevette held the line. In fact, this 2-door Chevette is priced over $600 less than Escort L 2-door. And Chevette has millions more owner-driven miles behind it. Chevy Chevette, from America's sales leader.
Next Saturday, CBS Sports kicks off the college football season with the Texas Longhorns against the Auburn Tigers, plus other regional action next Saturday on CBS Sports.
Looking at Bill Capice about to kick it off, and I think some credit should go to the offensive line of the Bucks, with Gene Sanders playing still with a tender ankle for the injured Dave Revis and rookie Kelly Thomas. Those 2 tackles did a good job on that drive. This is Anthony Hutchison getting some room up the sideline for the Bears on the kickoff return to the 35-yard line of Chicago, giving them good field position for their first offensive possession.
And there's that scoring drive, 12 plays, 71 yards, time consumed, 6:44. So that was what you call a beautiful drive, and I'm sure it gave Jerry Goldstein a lot of confidence, because after the first half and after last week, you know, you begin to wonder about yourself, and he took him right down the field. He had that one bad pass, but he zipped that last one to Giles, didn't he?
We saw Jack Thompson with the headset on to the press box coaches, discussing things with Goldstein. They're getting along well in this team.
Oh, everybody's pulling.
What a good job defensively. They had all kinds of bears out there in front of Walter Payton, but the Bucks just stripped it down, and it was the cornerback, Johnny Holt, with Big John Cannon supporting him, number 78, who forced a loss on the play, a flag down, however.
It's against Chicago.
Here's Johnny Holt. Neil Colsey, his veteran teammate, lined up next to him at safety, said, well, you know, Holt isn't as big as Morris Thomas. We had a big secondary, but he said this young man is quicker than the rest of us, so he brings that dimension.
Number 84, decline a penalty. It's second down.
Well, there you go. Not too often does a team decline a 10-yard penalty, but because the Bears lost about 2 yards, they would rather have them at 2nd and 12 than 1st and 20. So I think the logic's pretty good there.
The ball still at the 30-yard line. Bashnagel was the culprit on the holding call. Dan Neal is back in at center, number 52 for the Bears. In motion behind the ball, Bashnagel. They give it to Payton. Payton is shut down. Again, good job by the front of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, stripping through the blockers and nailing Payton behind the line. Leading the charge, Scott Brantley, linebacker number 52.
You hit it right, too, Tim. You said leading the charge. There must have been 7 Tampa Bay players in on that tackle. That's the way you have to hit Walter Payton.
Wayne Fonts, the defensive coordinator, following Tom Bass in that role. Bass, of course, got a lot of publicity when he was at Tampa, and he's now getting it and trying to rejuvenate the San Diego defense. And Fonts, obviously, is doing an outstanding job with this Buck defense and some young newcomers in it. McMahon has the time and finds Walter Payton. Payton shakes off one tackler, then slips, gets up quickly, dropped the ball. The ball is loose. In Tampa territory, let's see who's got it. Well, coming out of it is Thomas Morris, reserve defensive back, but was it dead? In whose possession? That's really the question.
Tampa Bay's possession.
Tampa Bay has been signaled and awarded the ball, and still a little pushing and shoving downfield, but now the tempers are cooled off somewhat. Walter Payton got away from Morris Thomas when he caught the ball, then he slipped in the open field. When he took the next hit, as you'll see here, he dropped the ball.
Now watch Payton, he's on the left. Now he'll come into the right of your screen. He fakes to the right and then comes back over the middle, and McMahon adjusts in the pocket and hits him. Now Payton's right out there all by himself, and you know, it's pretty tough to get him. Cedric Brown there missed the tackle, and then Payton gets up. Everybody is in on it, and I don't know, can't tell who stole that ball. But let me say, it wasn't Cedric Brown who missed the tackle.
No, it was Thomas Morris, number 24.
It was Thomas Morris,
and 34, Brown might have been the man who stripped the ball, Johnny. It looked on that replay like he might have done it. So it is Tampa Bay ball at their own 47-yard line with the score tied 10-10 here in the third period.
Los Angeles, California, first place.
Winner is Chablis number 3.
Sacramento, California, silver award.
Year after year, wine tastings are held across the country.
Chicago, Illinois, gold medal.
And year after year, one wine continues to appear at the top of the list.
Warwick, Rhode Island, first place.
The white wine judged best in tasting after tasting.
Washington, D.C., first place.
The Chablis Blanc of Ernest and Julio Gallo. From Ernest and Julio Gallo, all the best.
Chevy Tough is taking charge. Moisture and road salt are murder on a pickup. But Tough Chevy S10 comes with built-in corrosion-fighting zinc-coated steel to help guard against rust. While Ford Ranger uses about 93 square feet, Chevy S10 gives you almost 3 times more zinc-treated steel, about 277 square feet. For year-round protection, Chevy S10's got you covered with tough corrosion-fighting steel. Chevy Tough is taking charge.
Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris, and it looks like it might have been number 22, Johnny, right there.
Yeah, Johnny Ray Smith stripped the ball. Cedric Brown hit him, and then you can see the scramble for the ball as everybody grabs for it down at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, hard to say who actually came up with it, but Johnny Ray Smith got the ball loose from Walter Payton. And so the Bucks have the ball with a tie score, 6:56 remaining third quarter. Goldstein at quarterback. They shift to the I formation. Carter left, House right. Short drop for Goldstein, and he goes to Carter, and that will be first down yardage if they mark it where he caught it. Leslie Frazier put the tackle on him, but Carter was right at the marker.
You know, I could see it in the muscle reflex that time. Frazier almost decided to take a chance on an interception, and he didn't. So they better be careful on that play because he was very close, and a defensive back He has to have some courage to take chances, but they better watch out for Frazier. He's getting that urge, so he might be susceptible to a stop and go or out and up.
Third-year man from Alcorn State, been very steady since nailing down that cornerback spot for the Bears. First down, Tampa Bay. Goldstein using short drops and firing the ball quickly. A low diving catch for Kevin House, and got only about a yard on the play, if that. Otis Wilson and Mike Richardson were there to make sure he got no farther.
Jerry Golston, he went to school right down the road here at Northern Illinois University. And he's been a lot of places since then, hasn't he, Tim?
Yes, he has, including Orlando in a minor football league.
7 of his last 8 passes completed.
2nd and 9. Complete again. And it was James Owens out of the backfield, driven out by Todd Bell, number 25, after a gain of maybe 7 yards. They'll spot it at the 35-yard line of the Chicago Bears and bring up an interesting third down play for the Bucks. 3rd and about 4 at the Chicago 35-yard line. Little tester here for the Buccaneers. Theo Bell, number 83, has brought the play in. They've been shuttling the plays in with the wide receivers from the offensive staff, and John McKay very much involved in all of those decisions. Bell left, House right. Goldstein swings it out. It's dropped by Owens. James Owens dropped the swing pass and looked like he had some room with Sean Farrell ahead of him to at least pick up the first down yardage.
It would have been a sure first down because 62 Farrell was right out front. It was set up beautifully. Here's Owens, there's Farrell. He would have thrown his block on 25 Todd Bell, and there's no telling how far James Owens would have gone. Tough break for Tampa Bay.
Green Bay fans, latest word in the 3rd period there. Pittsburgh leading 16-14. 30-yard field goal by Anderson of Pittsburgh. There's Jeff Fisher awaiting the punt by Frank Garcia. Garcia just gets it away again against the rush of Hampton this time. And it's going to be down by the Buccaneers inside the 10-yard line of Chicago. So Garcia does the job again as George Yarno is down there to dive on the ball, and they will spot it at the 8-yard line. 5:10 remaining, 3rd quarter. We have a 10-10 ball game here at Soldier Field on the shores of Lake Michigan.
We are USA 1. Taking charge by unleashing a Chevrolet the competition can't touch. Camaro, flat outselling every other 2+2 sports coupe on the road today. And now Camaro is led by a new standard 5-speed, 5-liter Z28. The hot-selling Chevy Camaro. It still leaves everything but its shadow behind. USA 1 is taking charge.
This is the place for the real taste of beer. Pabst is the place. There's just no doubt about it.
It's right here in this bottle. You can't find better than Pabst.
Pabst is the place. Your good friends all around you for the real taste of beer and all the good times you have here.
The thing is, Pabst doesn't change. It's always good.
For the real taste of beer, Pabst is the place.
Next Saturday, see Boom Boom Mancini's WBA lightweight title defense against Orlando Romero, and lightweights Robin Blake and Melvin Paul will square off next weekend on CBS Sports Saturday.
Next week on CBS Sports Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern Time, a lightweight boxing doubleheader. The champion of the WBA, Ray Boom Boom Mancini, defends against number 1 rated Orlando Romero, and then Robin Blake, one of the up-and-coming outstanding lightweights, against yet another excellent lightweight, Melvin Paul, who has lost only once, and that's to Hector Camacho. It starts at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Should be an outstanding afternoon of boxing on CBS. First down for the Bears from their 8-yard line. 5:10 to go, 3rd period. 10-10 the score. Galt and Bashnagle are the wide receivers. Play action from the end zone. Quickly out to Suey. Suey drops the ball as he's hit from behind, and it is out of bounds off whom? It is Bears ball. And I believe that Van Horn might have been the man who got a hand on it for Chicago at the sideline after Suey took quite a rap from behind.
The Buccaneers put a blitz on there. As you can see, 59 Hawkins came through. They just threw the little swing pass out to Suey. Galt had cleared the zone down the field, and then he's carrying that ball rather loosely, and it's stripped loose. Looked like Scott Brantley was in there to kind of knock the ball loose. Tampa Bay touched it several times, but could not get possession before it went out of bounds, and Keith Van Horn kind of helped out. He came over there and kind of messed things up as far as Tampa Bay was concerned.
First down for the Bears from their own 21-yard line. Out of the eye, they shift to the pro set. Suey and Peyton running backs. Play action, rolling left. McMahon with Hawkins has him. Andy Hawkins, number 59, with the sack for Tampa Bay. Back to the 17-yard line. Second sack of the day for the Buccaneers.
They're starting to bring the linebackers a little bit more often now. Hawkins comes from the outside, and McMahon had a rollout that way, but he still couldn't get away from Hawkins. There's the fake of the handoff. He rolls kind of like a Q6. Here comes Hawkins. 59 from behind. McMahon cannot get away. Second sack of the day for Tampa Bay. And now the Bears are in a long passing situation. Second and about what, 14?
14 to go. Out of the pro set. No motion. Play action for McMahon. Trying to find a target downfield. Moorhead is open. He didn't see him. Now he goes for Galt. Galt ran over to make a great catch. He's dropped by Brown at the 27-yard line. Now maybe you're saying, why would he call that a great catch? Well, it wasn't what he did with his hands, it's what he did with his feet. He came back to the ball beautifully and effectively cut off two defenders who were in position to steal it.
Well, as McMahon is so good at rolling out, he gets out to the outside here, and there's nobody around him. Galt is coming from the other side of the field. He just leads him to that side. Cedric Brown couldn't adjust, 34, and Galt just runs himself into the ball game, made sure the grab, and the Bears are down to the 28-yard line. Now, Galt is coming from the top of your screen. You'll see 34, as Cedric Brown tried to adjust, but he couldn't, and Galt makes the grab.
55-yard gain for the Bears to the Tampa 28-yard line. Slot formation left. Saldi in motion. Peyton gets the block from Saldi and Suey and moves inside the 20-yard line. Saw that play back in the first half, and it will be close to a first down for Chicago.
Brought down by Cannon.
Brantley, Brown, and Cannon getting in on it for the Buccaneers. They mark it a 9-yard gain, 2nd and 1.
Walter Payton is heading for a 200-yard offensive day again. He had 199 yards passing and receiving and running last week, and he's heading that direction right now.
Dennis McKinnon is wide to the right. On the wing, Payton now goes in motion. One setback, Suey. McMahon can't find an open man, and he is going to be dropped. Third sack for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it was Dave Stalls, activated just this week after holding out for a trade he didn't get. The North Carolina veteran opted to sign again with the Buccaneers, and he's into the action his first day.
Interesting play by the Bears. They had Peyton in motion out to the side as we see the pressure by Tampa Bay is starting to get a little bit heavier on McMahon, and David Logan and Stalls in on the play, and pretty soon everybody. So the Bears have a third and about 4.5.
Nickel situation for the Bucs. Johnny Ray Smith is in. There's the fifth back, and Peyton shakes off the tackle of Logan, but he cannot get away on the corner. John Cannon, number 78, trips him up. Good defensive work by the Buccaneers. It'll bring
Dave
up
Logan.
down.
He's the one that got across, Tim. He's number 76, and you can see him right there to the left of the center. Nobody blocks him. He gets across, beats the interference, but Peyton gets away from that. However, it disrupted the run enough, and John Cannon, 78, got the ankle tackle, and now Bob Thomas going for the field goal.
They're spotting it at the 27-yard line, a 37-yard attempt by Thomas, who has a 50-yarder already. Thomas, it is no good. It is no good. So Bob Thomas, who connected from 50, fails from 37. And so we have 1:18 to play here in the third period, and this game remains tied. The Buccaneers and the Bucks still looking for their first win. Your basic defensive struggle, 10-10, 1:18 to go third quarter. Looking elsewhere in the NFL, the Giants lead Atlanta 10-6 in the third period. And Mick Lucker's field goal bringing Atlanta closer. James Owens for the Buccaneers picks up about 2, maybe 3 up the middle.
Al Harrison on the tackle, number 90 for the Bears, who are running basically with a 4-man front and 3 linebackers more than they usually do in games, in the course of a game.
Pittsburgh and Green Bay, let's see what that one has. 23-14, the Steelers in the fourth quarter now, leading the pack at Green Bay. And Buffalo in front of Cincinnati, 10-3. Joe Ferguson to Butler, a 14-yard pass, giving Buffalo the lead in the third period. All right, it is 2nd and 6 for the Bucks, and Giles away from Otis Wilson has first down yardage out to the 34, maybe the 35-yard line for Tampa Bay. And this short passing attack, short drops and quick release by Goldstein, starting to move the ball consistently for Tampa Bay.
And a linebacker has to cover Giles, 55, Otis Wilson out there on the chase. No safety on him, just the linebackers. And Jimmy Giles is becoming a force in this game. He's starting to pile up the yardage, and the Buccaneers finally seem to be getting a rhythm going in their passing game.
Goldstein is 9 of 11 this first half. This second half, pardon me, after a not impressive first down. Owens off tackle to the right side. A flag is down as Owens picked up about 7 yards. On first down, let's see what the call is.
It's going to be against Tampa Bay, I believe. It looked like it happened somewhere there in the line, pulling out the holding call or something along that order, and it is. So that's a crucial penalty. The Buccaneers are getting another drive established. The Buccaneers had 10 penalties last week. They had fumbles and penalties and interceptions and sacks and everything offensively. Even though they haven't burned up the world today, at least there is now improvement over last week.
Holding offense, number 60.
Number 60 is Randy Grimes, the rookie center from Baylor, getting some playing time and getting the penalty. And that is the 4th penalty assessed against Tampa Bay this afternoon. Randy Grimes, the number 1 choice of the Buccaneers this year. First down, they move Carver into the slot right. Swing it out for a screen pass to Carver, and Carver is backed up after a gain of about 2. Good defensive work. Cabral over there, Fensick, Otis Wilson all getting in on it. Good reaction to the ball by the Bears defensively. Time winding down here in the third quarter.
You know, this is a big sports day in the city of Chicago. Today's attendance 58,000 here at Soldier Field for the Bears and the Bucks. The Cubs and the Sox are both home. It doesn't happen very often. The Chicago Bears, Chicago White Sox, and Chicago Cubs all playing on the same day in Chicago.
Well, we're not sure about the ball scores, but the score here is tied at 10. That's the end of the third quarter. The Bears 10, the Bucks 10. We now pause for a word from your local.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Delta Faucet. When they're on, they're on. When they're off, they're off. And by Honda Motorcycles. Honda, follow the leader.
We are back at Soldier Field, and we still have a tie football game with 15 minutes of regulation time remaining. The Buccaneers have the ball. 2nd and 14 to go from their own 33-yard line. Gary Goldstein, the quarterback, has been effective this second half. Little rollout play action. Just got the ball away, complete to Giles. And Giles has become the main man in the pass attack. Otis Wilson put the lick on him.
I believe Gary Fensick is the one that really put the pop on him. As you can see, the fake of the run, the little fake of the draw, he rolls out. And here comes Giles. He has to catch it in the crowd here. Catch it in the crowd. And there is Fensick with the old shot. But Tampa Bay now has a 3rd and 1+, maybe almost 2 yards. Key call coming up here.
Yes, indeed. And proper credit due to Gary Fensick, number 45, who put the tackle on him. Let's see what the Bucks would come up with here. They shift Owens up to the wing left. Short drop for Goldstein. He's got a man open. Almost. Leslie Frazier. It was intended for Carter. Fensick and Frazier were both there, but you pointed out earlier that you thought Frazier was getting the itch to go and grab one.
He's been getting the itch all day, and that time he went for it. And he had his chance. He would have gone for a touchdown had he hung on to the ball, because he had a clear field down the right sidelines. And he played Gerald Carter very well that time.
Big Dan Hampton had the rush on Goldstein. You saw Goldstein just get it away as Hampton nearly had him. So it is 4th down. The Bears do the job defensively. Frank Garcia standing at his own 29. Jeff Fisher waiting for it back at the Bears 15. High punt. Caught by Fisher, and he is dropped. A beautiful tackle in the open field by Thomas Morris, the reserve defensive back, number 24. 40-yard punt for Garcia. Good coverage by the Bucks on the Bears, and so Chicago will be starting.
He did a good job because he had Todd Bell, 25, blocking on him. He got away from the block and made the tackle. Thomas Morris.
14 minutes to play in regulation time. We're tied at 10.
Here comes the most advanced piece of machinery in shaving history. The new Norelco Rotatract, the razor that challenges the world. Every blade, every electric, every shaving instrument ever made. In closeness, comfort, speed, and quality. It's the shaving machine you've been waiting for, or your money back. Advanced technology Rotatract razors. The first to challenge the world. New from Norelco.
You're taking one of the most important trips of your life on $35 radial tires. How good are they? They're warranted by one of the most trusted names in America for 30,000 miles. They're Sears Guardsman steel-belted radials starting at $34.99. Radial designed for performance, steel-belted for durability and peace of mind. Steel-belted radial confidence starting at $34.99.
There's more for your car.
Confidence installed day and night.
There's more for your life at Sears.
Honey Bears warming things up, and it's a beautiful afternoon here. Doesn't need a whole lot of warming up. Ladies are there anyway, as usual, on the sidelines for the Bears and their fans. And the Chicago Bears have first down at their own 17-yard line. Call it the 18. Suey. Sorey in front of him, and Payton, and Suey gets up close to the 10-yard marker with a diving effort. Scott Brantley forced him out.
Matt Suey out of Penn State for a while was the #1 rusher in Penn State history, and there's been some pretty big names that have run there.
Second and less than a yard to go. It's spotted at the 29-yard line. Bucks defense continues to be plenty tough. McKinnon and Galt, the rookie receivers, are a tandem for the Bears at the moment. The give is to Suey, and he is able to get nowhere close to the first down. But again, that Bucks front doing the job defensively. You see Jeff Davis, the linebacker, having penetrated. We see Dave Logan, who's been in the middle of most of the action all day, at the bottom of that, and Selman as well.
Here's Jimbo Covert, 74, the left tackle, against Leroy Selman, 63, the defensive end. And Selman gets inside the block and helps jam things up and is at least around the action. Didn't make the tackle, but he's around the action, which was on the other side of the ball from him. And it's a little bit short on the first down, a couple of inches. Third down and very, very short.
Bashnagel brings the play in. McKinnon comes out. Third and short. Three wide receivers. Three tight ends, pardon me. Moorhead, Saldi, and Pat Dunsmore, the rookie from Drake, comes in the short yardage situation. And we'll see what they do here. I suspect sneak. Suey and Payton. Set up behind Jim McMahon. Uh-oh. Flags down. McMahon had the yardage and then some for the first down.
Payton moved a little bit too soon, and really that's kind of a unnecessary penalty because Payton had nothing to do with the ball. He didn't even have to move because he wasn't a blocker or anything. At least I think it was Payton. Let's not indict him before the official makes the call, but it looked like Walter moved a little bit too soon.
Illegal motion for sure, and the Bears have already got Marjoram, Galt, and Moorhead back
illegal
in.
motion, number 34.
Walter Payton, one of his rare mental lapses. He doesn't have any physical ones, I don't think.
That changes the situation here, too, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It's a pass play now. They've got the pass receivers in. Let's see whether the Bucks respond to that break, the Bears' mistake, and try to shut the Bears up in their own end. 13-17 to go. Regulation time, a 10-10 tie.
4 defensive linemen in for Tampa Bay.
Shotgun for the Bears. Moorhead in motion. And has the time. He has the man. It's Marjoram. First down to the 41-yard line. Loose ball, but play is already dead. Kenny Marjoram shaking loose. Brown and Holt make the tackle. But Jim McMahon, the sophomore from BYU, delivers the goods. We saw Johnny Ray Smith with the ball, but play had been whistled dead.
Out of the shotgun, you'll see 82 come from right to left, right across the screen, and Holt has to cover him all the way across the field. That's kind of an impossible job, and it's a key first down for Chicago. Kenny Marjoram, one of the best windsurfers in the United States.
He taught a course in that at Stanford. I've always loved that little item in the press guide. First down.
Oh, Willie Galt.
Willie Galt on the reverse. And Galt gets about 8, maybe 9, as the Bucks covered it pretty well. A flag down on the play. Bears have been working on that in practice all week, as you might expect. They want to try and spring this sprinter and hurdler into some open territory. So far, they've been unable to do it. See with who the flag is against here. Not move the ball back to Bears territory yet, the line of scrimmage.
It appears it's going to be against Chicago because the Bears are walking back towards the 20-yard line. That's usually a pretty good tip, isn't it?
Yes, it is. They know something already, but there's a discussion among the officials going on.
A holding call, which is a 10-yarder, and the Bears are moved back.
Holding, offense, number 84.
Ryan Bashnagle charged with the holding. Galt comes off the field.
Bashnagle's over on the sidelines. He wanted to get out in a big hurry because he knew he had done something wrong. Let's take a look. He's blocking there on Neil Colsey. I don't know. It looks like a pretty close call to me.
From the 35-yard line, it is 1st and 15 for Chicago. In motion goes Payton. Pitch out Suey. Cuts it back upfield, slipped a little bit, and got to the 40-yard line, back to the original line of scrimmage. Jeff Davis, number 58, having another effective afternoon. The young man from Clemson made the tackle on Suey, but Suey had lost some footing as he made his cut.
The Bears are playing without Noah Jackson, their fine left guard. Rob Fata is filling in. Jackson has a pulled abductor muscle.
Fata has not looked out of place, though, in these first 2 games. A
Number
rookie
64.
from Pittsburgh, lined up alongside his Pittsburgh teammate, Jim Colbert, who was handed that job at left tackle, but Fata in there to replace Jackson has been doing well. Play action again, the heat on McMahon. That's Cannon after him. Got the ball away in the general direction of Payton just as Cannon dropped him. That Cannon's got big speed.
He certainly does, and I'll tell you who you have to give some credit for, too, is Jeff Davis, 58. He took Payton out there in the flat. They were trying to throw a screen to Walter Payton and did a good job.
11:33 to go as we see the quarterback comparison to the moment. Goldstein, 15-23, has really rallied well in the second half. McMahon, 15-22, 252 yards. He's got the advantage in that category as Goldstein has thrown mainly short. 3rd and 11.
4-man rush for the Buccaneers. They have 4 defensive linemen in.
Dave Stalls is in, and they have a nickelback in Johnny Ray Smith. motion Moorhead back to the slot. McMahon steps up in the pocket, and it's intended up the sideline for Marjoram, broken up by Mike Washington, and Washington was hurt on the play. He broke it up, but McMahon floated that ball. It looked as though he thought Marjoram was a little more open than he really was and had the time to kind of float the ball. But Washington used that opportunity to get to it and break it up.
That's right. You can't zing it there when you're, he had to get out of the pocket here, and he started to run and throw on the run. Washington was laying off, and he watched the quarterback too, just like everybody else does, and he came right in there and arrived when the ball did a good play. However, he was down on the field. He's up and heading for the sideline, so it looks like he's going to be okay.
Looked like just the collision of the hands of Marjoram and Washington both going up to the ball. He might have got smacked in the face above his head guard, but he's all right. So again, the Buccaneers do another outstanding defensive job, and Parsons into punt. 11:26 to go. The deep man, our Andre Tyler, the lone deep man, back at the 20-yard line, signals fair catch, and Andre Tyler pulls it in at the 22-yard line of Tampa Bay. So now, let's see if the Buccaneers...
There's a penalty down on the field, apparently against Chicago.
Back in behind the line of scrimmage, the Chicago Bears.
Well, this will be an interesting one. Do they want to take the ball, make sure they've got it, no fumbled punt or anything, or would they like to move the Bears back? It is a holding call, and take their chances on a possible big return or better field position. They're going to take the penalty. The Bears will be penalized.
Parsons will get another chance to punt the ball again, and he's punting into the wind. So the Buccaneers are certainly making the right decision here to hopefully the wind holds up the next one.
Kicking team number 44 before they kick the ball.
Terry Schmidt. There he is. That's a left hand on the back of the jersey. We got him dead to rights, haven't we?
Yes,
the replay is fantastic.
Well, good job by the officials picking that one up. So Parsons at the 15-yard line. Now the Bucs are going to come out of this with a significantly better field position depending on the punt. And it's a good punt against the wind. Excellent punt. Tyler signals fair catch at the 29-yard line, so they gained a little, but Parsons made a clutch punt there. 11:11 to play, regulation time. We are still tied at 10 here at Soldier Field. We'll be right back.
A lot of good old boys around here know the best places to hunt and fish. Places that are hard to get to and get through and get around. That's why they got the original, the Honda ATC. Now, ATC will get you through water, it'll get you through swamp and mud. The fact is, the ATC works so good down here. There's a story going around that Mr. Honda used to live on the bayou. Everybody knows he lived up by Shreveport.
Boxing, soccer, basketball, baseball, football, watch them all. With Rose in hand, you'll have a ball. 'Cause there's no taste like the Rose. Irish Rose, no taste like the Rose. There's no taste like it. Everybody knows there's no taste like the Rose.
Wild Irish Rose wine.
Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris back at Soldier Field, a 10-10 tie. There's the clock remaining, fourth quarter. Meanwhile, look what the Cowboys are doing in St. Louis. They trailed in this game 10-0. They now lead it 31-17 over the Cardinals at St. Louis. Next Sunday on the NFL Today, the Dallas Cowboys will be at home against the New York Giants in the second half of our doubleheader. The Bears will be at New Orleans. Tampa Bay will be home to Minnesota. And some of you will see the Rams at Green Bay. Giants also leading their game over Atlanta 13-6. Meanwhile, Jerry Goldstein continues at quarterback. He is 12 of 14 for 105 yards in the second half after going 3 for 9 in the first half. Play action. Going deep. He's got a man open, and it is incomplete. Intended for Gerald Carter. who was behind Fensick and Frazier, but the ball a little bit short. When he stopped for it, the Bear defenders caught up.
He came back nicely for the ball, almost made a fantastic reception, and Goldstein had the time to throw. And you got to give that offensive line a little credit for Tampa Bay, especially the second half, because, you know, they're kind of banged up, as we mentioned earlier. Revis is not playing, and you remember last week Kelly Thomas suffered from some heat exhaustion. He's back on there. He's glad of the cool weather. Sanders is playing with a sore ankle. They're doing okay.
2nd and 10 for Tampa Bay. Out of the eye. Swing pass to Owens, a little low. And Hetty caught it. Make it Carver, Melvin Carver, number 28, not 26. Hetty caught the ball. He was going nowhere, but the ball was a little low. And meanwhile, let's take a look at a couple of more scores that are in. Washington and Cleveland, the Redskins, trying to even things at 1-1, leading Philadelphia 17-10 now, and that's in the 4th period. Cleveland over Detroit 21-17. The Lions, of course, beat Tampa Bay 11-0 last week. They trailed in the 4th quarter. Cleveland has scored Brian Sipe to Ozzie Newsome in the conference game. 3rd and 10 for Tampa Bay. So both these defensive teams have been doing the job. Let's see if the Bucks can beat the Bears defense here. Goldstein with the time, pumps and then runs out and throws it right to Terry Smith. Smith for the Bears. To the 10. Diving in, touchdown.
Terry Schmidt for the touchdown. Goldstein was under pressure, threw an ill-advised last-second desperation pass because he couldn't find anybody open. Then he was trying to scramble and just threw the ball kind of up for grabs, and Terry Schmidt, one of the extra backs on the prevent defenses, took it in, took the dive for the touchdown. A young man who lost his starting cornerback job to the rookie Mike Richardson has come through for the Chicago Bears. He alertly picked off that ball, and the Bears have the lead. Big mistake by Tampa Bay.
32-yard touchdown for Terry Schmidt. Bob Thomas in for the point after, and he has it. And a flag is down. A flag down on the play. They ran into the holder, Brian Baschnagel, actually, but they may be calling roughing the kicker here. We'll wait and see what the call is. The point after was good, so it may wind up in a simple decline. But the best part about that, as I looked down, it was Morris Owens,
Thomas Morris.
Thomas Morris, number 24. When the official threw the flag, he picked up the flag and threw it back at the official. So
we may have a penalty on. We may have a penalty on the kickoff. Yeah, which certainly has a bearing on the football game.
Yes, it does.
You know,
Thomas Morris, number 24. Looked to me like he killed. Let's see it again here.
Does a pretty good job of acting on this too. I mean, there's no question he came in and made contact. Now Thomas kicks the ball. Here comes Thomas Morris, and watch Thomas just lay out the old back swan dive. Down he goes, and that's it. Kick was still good.
The beauty of a Delta faucet is, when it's on, it's on. And when it's off, it's off. Its washerless design helps keep it from dripping, so it lasts and lasts and lasts. Delta faucet. We're first because we last.
Bigger engines were easy on oil. That's why you'll only need to change the oil every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. Today's smaller, higher revving engines can break down an oil's viscosity within 1,500 miles. That's why there's Castrol. Tests show Castrol suffers no significant breakdown of viscosity even after 5,000 miles. So use Castrol, because if you make things too hard on your engine could make things hard on you. Castrol, engineered for smaller cars.
For the scores, highlights, and important stories of game day in the National Football League, watch the NFL today on the home of the Super Bowl, CBS Sports.
Well, the officials accepted the flag back from Thomas Morris. They said that there was no infraction on the play. So I guess when he threw it back, they put it away. The kickoff is taken by Morton at the 1-yard line, and number 1 scoots up over the 20 to about the 22, where he is met by Leslie Frazier, number 21 of the Chicago Bears. So tonight on CBS, after the football and the tennis, you'll get to see 60 Minutes, followed by Alice One Day at a Time, the Jeffersons, Goodnight Beantown, and Trapper John, M.D., our usual fine Sunday night lineup on CBS. First down for the Buccaneers as Schmidt's 32-yard return of an interception has given the Chicago Bears a 17-10 lead. And let's see if the Buccaneers can rally here. Goldstein continues at quarterback, play action, off to Carver, and Carver dropped the ball. Again, Brian Cabral was all over him, and had he caught it, it really wouldn't have mattered. He would have been looking at a loss on the play. So at least they're still back at the line of scrimmage.
You know, Al Harris, number 90, is the one who almost intercepted that ball. If he'd have turned his head, it was right there. The Bears are kind of inspired now. They seem to be really roaring down there on defense. Tampa Bay is going to have a rough go now. They got to come up with a big play to stop the momentum.
You got to go far in the NFL to find 2 better defensive teams than the 2 out here this afternoon. Fake drop this time, but Goldstein is sacked. Mike Hartenstein, number 73 from Penn State, a 9-year veteran. First sack of the day for the Chicago Bears.
And Mike Hartenstein's on the left of your screen. Over the left tackle, Kelly Thomas. You'll see 73 gets outside of Thomas and just beats him and heads right in straight to the quarterback. You have to give the right tackle, Kelly Thomas, an F on that play, as Hartenstein just gave him a little move and just dipped to the outside and was there. Zap.
Last week, of course, there were 7 sacks by the Lions, so Kelly Thomas and Dean Sanders and the guards have been doing a little better job in this game. Goldstein going deep. He's got a man open. Theo Bell out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Mike Richardson, the rookie cornerback, on the coverage, one-on-one, and Goldstein can throw the ball down the field.
Boy, he certainly threw that one down. They were running stride for stride. All of a sudden, Bell just took off and got a spurt of speed over Richardson, who was trying to run right with him side by side, and the pass was really out there nicely. Beautiful pass by Goldstein. Theo Bell keeps Tampa Bay in this ball game, keeps the drive alive, out of bounds, and Richardson's had a rough time on some key passes his first game last week, and now this was a key play.
52-yard gain to Theo Bell, who made a real good catch. It wasn't that Richardson was way off the ball or fallen or slipped or anything.
Pass was perfect, yeah.
Pass was perfect. Bell made a good catch with the hands of Richardson in his way. That is Carver. Melvin Carver picking up a couple, getting to the Bears' 32-yard line. Dan Hampton and Jim Osborne, the tackles, making the stop for the Bears. Let's call it a 1-yard gain as they mark it. 2nd and 9, and the Buccaneers trying to move down to tie things up. 9:26 regulation time.
You know, they're getting themselves in some of these situations. They've been running on first down a lot, and you see they're ended up 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10, and that puts a lot of pressure on you. I sure would like to see any football team throw on first down a little more.
2nd down, clear out, almost picked off. Intended for Giles. Otis Wilson nearly had himself an interception. The Bears have had 2 or 3 close calls like that today. And again, nothing but end zone in front of him. And again, Goldstein didn't really deliver the ball with zip.
No, he didn't. Otis Wilson went for the interception. As you see the jam on Giles, but what happened was as his body flew through for the interception, and it must have obstructed Giles' view for just a moment as the ball was coming through, and it hit him because it should have caught the ball, but there comes his hand, and he might have deflected it slightly. It looked like it hit Giles at a little lower position than he thought the ball was going to be.
3rd down, big play for Goldstein here. Let's see how he does.
Oh, boy.
Rush on and almost complete to Carter. Broke it. Guess who? Walt Williams. Boy. Number 43, Carter, is going to see him in his dreams tonight.
Well, if that wasn't Walt Williams was hanging all over Carter as he came down. I'm really surprised they didn't call a penalty on this. Watch it at the bottom of your screen, bottom left. I don't know if you'll see it, but when he was hanging on him before, no, you don't see it. But they got away with it, so Tampa Bay has a 4th down situation.
Walt Williams picked up as a free agent from the Vikings. 7-year man out of New Mexico State. 50-yard field goal try by Bill Capice. Bears fans remember that this young man did it to them in overtime in the final game of the season last year, knocked Chicago out of the playoffs. It is no good. Capice is short. 8:55 remains on the clock. And the Chicago Bears will take over the football, the line of scrimmage, at their own 32-yard line. We'll be back.
This Bud's for everyone who's got the heart and courage to go the distance. Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser. This Bud's for you.
If you're looking for an investment firm, I've got some advice for you. I want to tell you the single best way to choose that investment firm. Just ask a lot of investors a lot of questions. Ask if their broker really listens, really cares, and ask them how they're doing. I'm telling you this because I believe you're going to hear a lot of good things about one company, Dean Witter. I think you'll find Dean Witter worth asking about.
Dean Witter, worth asking about.
Well, the sailors are still out on Lake Michigan, along with a couple of boats without sails. A big freighter churning by. And our view here from the press box atop Soldier Field. 17-10. The Bears lead on Terry Schmidt's interception. And the Bears have the football as Joe Capice missed the 50-yarder as the Bears defense stopped the Bucks drive after the long pass to Theo Bell had them down into Bears territory. Saldi in motion behind the ball. Walter Payton. Payton off tackle, and a good tackle by number 58, Jeff Davis, the second-year man from Clemson. What an afternoon he is having. He had 13 tackles against Detroit last week. And they have got some linebacking core.
Boy, he knifed through there perfectly, didn't he?
He sure did. Sure-handed tackler, too. He makes the right kind of tackle, it seems, at the right time. He knew to get Payton down around the legs and ankles. There come the signals in from Wayne Fonts, the defensive coach. Second and 11, a loss of a yard on the play. Moorhead and Saldi, two tight ends are in. Saldi goes out in motion to the left. McMahon to Payton. Flag down on the play. Payton got about 4, was hit immediately. And it was Andy Hawkins, number 59, the left side linebacker on the hit. Ben Dreith will let us know what the infraction was. And meanwhile, Washington is leading Philadelphia 20-10 now on a Mark Mosley field goal, opening their margin to a 10-point lead over the Eagles, the Super Bowl champion Redskins. And Cleveland, Detroit, a 4-point margin there for the Browns as it's marched off against the Chicago Bears. 21-17, Cleveland leads in the third.
Personal foul, illegal, shot block.
A personal foul, that is a tough one. An illegal chop block, a big 15-yarder.
That is usually on a back who comes back in and chops on a defensive lineman who is rushing the passer, and it's now illegal.
They didn't say who committed the crime there, but it's back at the 16-yard line. And that could be every play now in a one-touchdown margin game as time winds down. Every play like that becomes a big one. The Bears in a shotgun, back up deep in their own zone. Bucks trying to get pressure. They throw it out to Suey. Suey gets a good block. Suey still going. Suey to midfield. Tripped up by Mike Washington, number 40. Good running by Suey. There was an outstanding block there about 10 yards downfield, Johnny. We'll see who it is. 33-yard gain.
Watch the Buccaneers drop way off because they have a long way to go for a first down, so they just throw the perfect pass underneath. A screen pass to Suey. 69, Reeve Sori's out in front to throw a key block. Payton was down the field. He got through and just kept his feet going as Scott Brantley was the man that was knocked down, and finally Washington comes over to stop Suey. Would you have believed they would have gotten a first down out of that on his little screen pass over the middle?
No, more than a first down. 33 yards out to midfield for the Chicago Bears. Levy Sorey doing a great blocking job. Payton nearly dropped behind the line and will still be stopped for a loss. And that was either Davis who blew in there, Hawkins, 59, who blew in and forced Walter deeper. And then the Buccaneers followed behind to drop him for about a 1-yard loss. Maybe, now let's see where they spot it here. It's going to be a 4-yard loss for the Chicago Bears. Now they move the stick back. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have defeated Green Bay 25-21 at Green Bay today. So Packer fans have to look to next week for another victory. 2nd and 14 for the Chicago Bears at the 46-yard line of Chicago. Great drop from McMahon. Has the time and can't find a receiver, and that allows Jeff Davis, number 58, to score another sack. Back to the 40-yard line. Johnny, it looked to me like McMahon was a little eager there to get out of the pocket, you know, without really giving his receivers a chance to get open on that play.
Let's take a look. Let's make a judgment. Of course, remember, we're seeing a little bit of slow motion, but you're right. He wasn't pressured. You see some pretty good speed here by Jeff Davis. He's running down that quarterback, and McMahon's not a slow quarterback.
What a football player that Davis is. 3rd down. The Buccaneers defense rising up again. They gave up the one long gainer. They've made 2 big plays in a row. 3rd down and very long at the Bears 39. They run out of time? Yes, they did. It's going to be a little longer. Delay of game against the Chicago Bears. Back 5 more, and the crowd getting a little restless here.
Delay the game.
They'll have 25 yards to go for a first down now, but they were in that kind of a situation a moment ago and managed to get the first down. So
Daschnagel comes in with a play. Willie Galt comes out. 5:36 on the clock. Bears holding the 17-10 lead.
Shotgun again.
16-24 for McMahon, having another fine afternoon passing. And a quick kick by Jim McMahon. Not a terrific one, but let's see how the bounce goes. It's a Chicago bounce. Still going. And will go out of bounds at the 27-yard line. Well, Johnny, what do you think?
We haven't seen that one in a long time. Jim McMahon with his first punt in the NFL.
Look at him. You can tell he's unhappy that it wasn't a good kick, like he really gets to practice a lot, right?
Okay, well, it surprised everybody. They didn't get a real good bounce out of it. They figured, I guess, 3rd and 25 as Kenny Marjorum's down there to down the ball. It hits him, but Tampa Bay has the ball. And actually, I think Tampa Bay would take that play, don't you?
Yeah, I would say so. 33-yard punt, it turns out, for McMahon. Tampa Bay ball when we return.
Now Avis has the fastest way for you to return your car and get this record of your rental charges without waiting at the counter. I'll prove it. Our new Avis Rapid Return is as easy to use as your pocket calculator. You just punch in your car number, your mileage, your gas gauge reading. In less than a minute, out comes a record of your rental.
Here's to the guys who are making America great. From the guys who make Schlitz, a great American beer.
Have a Schlitz, America. You got the gusto now. You got the gusto now.
Next, Kenny Vonland will win his first Grand Slam tournament. He faces defending champ Jimmy Connors in the men's singles final of the U.S. Open on CBS Sports. Next.
There's Jim McMahon on the left of your screen, center Dan Neal, and McMahon not happy with the fact that he didn't get a better punt on a quick kick, but it really wasn't too bad. But as you pointed out, Johnny, the Buccaneers do have the ball in pretty good field position, 29-yard line.
I think they'll take that any day. Remember when Seattle did that against the Bears and Mike Ditley called it a high school play?
Yes, he did. So Wilder and Morton are the running backs. Morton in the slot. They go to Wilder. He is dropped by Dan Hampton. Flashing through. As soon as Wilder got the ball, he got Dan Hampton.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You can sure get a tendency on Tampa Bay on first down. I don't know the exact stats, but they must have run every time but about one that I can think of on first down today.
5:04 and counting. The Buccaneers trail by 7. 2nd and 10. No gain on that play. Kevin House and Gerald Carter and Theo Bell, 3 wide receivers are in. House in motion. Goldstein up the middle to tight end Giles. He has a first down as Todd Bell tackles him at the 40-yard line, number 25.
Okay, Jimmy Giles, number 88. Big and fast as he goes down the field. The Bears put the blitz on. Goldstein saw it coming. Giles just turned around quickly and made the reception. And that's good thinking because he smelled that blitz and he looked. He turned his pattern a little bit quicker than you normally would. He only went down about 8 yards. That means that he was able to pick up on the blitz, and he knew Goldstein was going to have to get rid of the ball quickly.
First down. Swing pass.
There
Morton.
they go.
Michael Morton dives for another Tampa Bay first down into Bear territory over the 50. Tripped up by Leslie Frazier, number 21. Perfectly timed swing pass to Morton. He kind of lost his balance. The little guy from Las Vegas might have gotten even more. But the Bucks are now right at midfield. They're going to spot it. And they are on the march with 3:43 and counting. Giles, meanwhile, has caught 7 for 74 yards in the second half. There's your play selection, Johnny. Almost identical number of choices on first down for the run. Oh, big hole up the middle, and it is Melvin Carver out of the doghouse and into Bear territory to the 39-yard line, and a first down. Carver, criticized by John McKay last week, got into the action early today and has been in and out. Here's a big play and a big hole.
Yes, and a good block by Wilson, the center. He really straightened up Dan Hampton to create that hole.
First down, Buccaneers on the move. 3 minutes now under. High formation. Short drop, quick flare, completed, but not for a whole lot, to Kevin House, Todd Bell, and number 27, Michael Richardson. Combining on the tackle. A pickup of 5 yards on the play, a little more than I thought.
Let me give credit to Grimes. It was Grimes that was in on the center at that play instead of Wilson. So he's the one that made the good block.
New York Giants down at Atlanta. The Falcons have tied things up. Bartkowski to Alfred Jackson in the 4th period. They're tied at 13. Second and 5. Long 5 for the Buccaneers. They give us to Morton. Morton up the middle, and a ball pops loose. Grabbed by the Bears. Michael Richardson recovering the fumble by Michael Morton. Morton had running room and a good gain when he coughed it up. A huge break for the Chicago Bears. The Bucks still trying to get the ball back down there, but it was cleanly recovered by Richardson, the rookie. So the young man who's had the misfortune of having some passes thrown over him in the first couple of games in the National Football League comes up with a big play.
Morton got through the big hole, and just as he's hit right here, you're going to see the ball blank away. Nice move. He tried to spin out of it, gets hit. The ball comes loose more or less on his own rather than being knocked loose, and then it spurted towards the Bears' end of the field. And you can see Mike Richardson, number 27. He beat Kevin House to the ball, Chicago's ball, with 2:08 left in the game.
First down, Chicago. Walter Payton cutting it off the right tackle side. Pulled down by Scott Brantley after a gain of about 5, maybe 6 on the play over the 20. And the 2-minute warning has sounded. So the Chicago Bears, being threatened by the Buccaneers in these final 3 minutes, have the football, and the Bucks are up against it now.
Ford Motor Company invites comparison.
To anything.
Made anywhere.
By anybody.
Compare this $55,000 Mercedes Coupe to this Thunderbird Turbo. Compare the new Ford Tempo to the Audi 4000 or the Chrysler K cars. Only Tempo gives you both front-wheel drive and independent rear suspension. Compare Cadillac to the highest quality luxury car built in America, the Lincoln Town Car. Compare any small car on the road to the best-selling car in the world, the Ford Escort. Compare Ford trucks.
Our full-size pickups are the best-selling line of trucks in the country.
And we're the leader in vans.
Compare our quality. We're building the highest quality cars and trucks of any major U.S. manufacturer.
Compare our cars and our trucks.
To anything.
Made anywhere.
By anybody.
You're gonna love them.
You're gonna love the quality Ford. Quality is job one.
We're ready.
Chicago Bears with a 7-point margin, 2 minutes to play regulation time. They have the ball 2nd and 5 at their own 21-yard line. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris here as the Buccaneers have got to be feeling it here. They were moving the ball effectively. Michael Morton, the second-year man from Nevada, Las Vegas, with a good run. Had it popped loose on a hit by Todd Bell and Mike Hartenstein. Michael Richardson recovered. Bears ball, 2nd down. Suey, what a hit he took. That was Brantley, number 52, and guess who? Jeff Davis, number 58.
Boy, they stopped him cold on that. That was a big play to put the Bears in a 3rd down situation.
Well, joining us in our booth here, having his picture taken by the New York Times photographer, is Commissioner Pete Rozelle, who's here in Chicago enjoying the NFL action this afternoon. His wife, Carrie, is also with him. And we welcome the Commissioner. Pete, nice to see you.
And I imagine he doesn't care which team wins as long as somebody wins it, huh?
Well, we've got another timeout on the field with 1:51 on the clock, and the Bears leading 17-10. Yeah. Well, remember, coming up after the football action this afternoon, the U.S. Open will have the men's singles final. Jimmy Connors and Ivan Lendl will be matched up, and it's a matchup that everybody's looking forward to. They've had some good battles before, and a lot of people think maybe this is going to be Lendl's year to win the Open.
Okay, key 3rd down play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In fact, the old ball game might be right on the line. If they can stop Chicago here, they can force the punt. Otherwise, I think they only have 2 timeouts left, and the Bears would be able to eat the clock up on them. This is it.
Bucks are stacking it. McMahon tripped as he made the handoff to Payton, and they appear to have stopped him. Walter Payton was unable to make the turn as the Bucks strung it out very, very well. Brantley was there. Davis was there. Holt was there. Good defensive effort.
Tampa Bay. Second
timeout called by the Buccaneers. They've got 1 to go after this one. 1:44 on the clock. 4th down for the Bears.
And a super defensive play by Tampa Bay. They called the quick timeout because the Bears could have eaten up for 30 seconds before they punted the ball. You'd rather have more time and less timeouts than not very much time with a whole bunch of timeouts. You see what I mean? It was a good call to call timeout at that time.
You know, it's so hard to select the defensive stars on this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team because they have such a solid team defense, and that is exactly what Colsey and Logan were telling us yesterday, that they feel like they're such a good unit. They all complement each other with their various skills and what they have overall as team speed. But today, those linebackers inside, to me, have been their real story.
You got to think that they would go for the punt block here, really give it a shot.
I would think so, too. All that defense won't matter a bit if they lose 17-10. 1:44 to go. Parsons from his 10. Gets it away. Good one. What a big kick by Parsons. Another clutch punt. Back to the 23-yard line. Tyler, pretty good return. Gets it up to the 38, where he's pulled down by Emery Moorhead, number 87. And 1:34 on the clock. 54-yard punt by Parsons, a 15-yard return. And Bob Parsons came up with 2 key punts in this football game. And that was the second of them. It is first down for Tampa Bay at the 37. We want to thank those people who have brought the action to you this afternoon. After this play, we'll tell you who some of them are.
They're double teaming both wide receivers, a man head up on them, and then a 3 deep zone.
Goldstein. Complete. Gerald Carter. Carter gets to the 45-yard line. Leslie Frazier had the coverage. The ball came loose, but it is dead, and play carries on as the clock continues to tick. The Buccaneers have only 1 timeout left. They don't want it here. They're at the Bears' 46-yard line. And a sack by Hartenstein. Mike Hartenstein was left all alone. He dropped Goldstein back to the Buccaneers' 43-yard line. 1:05 and counting. Bears trying to make a defensive substitution. The play is carrying on. Williams just got off the field in time. Goldstein up the middle to Carter, incomplete, a flag down.
The Bears had too many men on the field. He couldn't get to the sidelines. We'll have to see. There was a flag over on the other side of the field, so we'll see what the call is. The defensive holding against the Bears, plus too many men on the field.
I don't know whether they're going to call that one. Williams was on and off the field and might have got away with that.
Holding 44. That's a first down.
The first down for the Buccaneers on the holding call against Chicago. And again, we'd like to thank all of our fine CBS production and technical people who have brought us the action here today from Chicago. Executive producer Terry O'Neill back in New York. Our producer here in Chicago, Wade Gorin. Our director, Peter Bleckner. Paul Arndt, our associate producer, and a cast of assorted talented people. First down, Tampa Bay. Complete. The tight end, Giles, wrapped up by Al Harris, dropping back into the coverage, a gain of about 5, 40 seconds and counting. The ball down at the Bears' 44-yard line. Tampa needs a touchdown, of course. Goldstein gets some time up the middle, and it's incomplete, intended for Carter. That'll stop the clock with 29 seconds left. And Hartenstein was in on Goldstein again and nailed him just after he released the ball.
Hartenstein's on a tear. He's giving Mr. Thomas a tough problem there at that right tackle spot. But the biggest thing that I think Tampa Bay needed at this point was an incomplete pass or something to stop the clock, get their thoughts together. They have 2 downs in order to get to the first down, but they got to go all the way into the end zone to win this football game. A field goal obviously is not a factor.
McMichael in for Osborne defensively. 3 wide receivers in for Tampa Bay. Third down play. Goldstein intended for Carter, and it was incomplete. 3 Bears around the ball, a classic collision. Gary Schmidt, Otis Wilson, Mike Richardson. Carter, the intended receiver.
Almost Schmidt with the interception, then Carter almost made the reception, and then you're going to see Richardson come, number 27, who is ready to intercept the ball, but then he gets clobbered by his own man, and down he goes as, I think that was Otis Wilson. So there was a whole bunch.
That looked like bumper cars at the carnival.
This is it, 4th down.
This is the last one, 23 seconds remaining, and Goldstein's got to make it happen here. Up the middle, complete. First down, Tampa Bay.
Now they're going to use their last timeout.
It was Andre Tyler, the 7th-round pick from Stanford a year ago, making the critical grab to the Bears' 35.
Tampa Bay, that's their last timeout.
Timeout is called, 17 seconds remaining, and I'd like to know who called the timeout. Remember, anybody can call it. I thought they were a little slow making the call. Now, this is all a big new rule this year. Anybody on the team can call timeout. Seemed like they used up another 3 or 4 seconds there, Johnny, before they got the timeout called. I may be wrong on what time the clock was at when the catch was made.
Well, there were 2 or 3 calling timeout right after the reception, so if there was a delay, it was the officials taking the signal in. So
well, that can happen, can it?
Yeah.
Goldstein and McKay discussing things gives us a chance to show you some other scores. They're in overtime. The Giants and Atlanta are tied at 13. Washington leading Philadelphia 23-13 in the fourth period. Dallas way out in front of St. Louis 34-17 in the fourth quarter. They trailed 10-0 early. The Rams and New Orleans scoreless in the first. Cleveland and Detroit, what a game there, 28-26 in the fourth quarter. Pittsburgh defeated Green Bay 25-21. Cliff Stott at quarterback, of course, for the Steelers.
Now they've got to be careful here. If they throw over the middle and it's not a very long pass, they're in trouble. They've got to throw something towards the sideline or where the receiver is running towards the sideline so he can get out of bounds.
Bears lead by 7. 17 seconds left. The ball at the 35 of Chicago. Goldstein for Giles. Broken up by Michael Richardson. Again, 4 defenders around the receiver. 13 seconds to play.
The Bears got they have 3 defensive backs way down the field in the 3 deep zone. Giles gets behind Todd Bell, but he has deep coverage waiting for him there, so it's going to be tough. The way the Bears are playing it, when you get down to 13 seconds, you almost have to just try and get somebody into the end zone and hope for the old alley-oop now.
Tennis fans will be going right to the U.S. Open in New York. Lendl and Connors, stay with us. Goldstein for Giles, incomplete. Overthrown, and Giles got to be a little tired. He didn't exactly run that pattern with a lot of zest. I mean, I'm sure he was going as hard as he could, but he looks like tired to me.
Well, he hadn't played all that much last week, and he's been out of camp, so you can't blame him for being tired, and he is really dragging now. He had a good game. He caught
had a
6 or 7 passes. Huh?
Yep. Goldstein is now 22 of 41 for 277 yards. After a 3-for-9 first half, Goldstein has done the job in the second half. However, they're trailing with 7 seconds remaining. They need a touchdown to force overtime.
Here goes 3 receivers up at the top of your screen. Everybody's going down the field. They have 3 defenders right in front of them and a man deep.
Carter, House, and Tyler, and they just roll it up and hope.
Oh!
Incomplete over everybody. Leslie Frazier got a piece of it. And that is it. It is all over. The Chicago Bears have outlasted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was an interception returned for a touchdown by Terry Schmidt that provided the margin of victory. The Bears 17, the Buccaneers 10. We'll be back.
Working hard against the clock could mean perspiration odor. Gillette announces the new improved Right Guard stick, so potent it destroys odor-causing bacteria for up to 24 hours.
I adore my 64, my Commodore 64. I sing with it, write with it, figure my path of flight with it, my Commodore 64. I rate with it, create with it, telecommunicate with it, my Commodore 64.
64K memory at a price that will put a computer in every home, business, and school years before anyone ever dreamed.
I adore my 64, my Commodore 64.
Well, the Chicago Bears have defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get their first win of the season. McMahon passed to Walter Payton 73 yards for their first touchdown, a 50-yard field goal by Thomas. And then with the score tied 10-10 in the fourth period, Terry Schmidt returned an interception of a pass by Jerry Goldstein, 32 yards for the winning margin. We'll be going immediately to the U.S. Open. From New York, Jimmy Connors and Yvonne Lendl, the men's singles final. They are just warming up. You will see it all here on CBS Sports. So for Johnny Morris, I'm Tim Ryan saying so long from Soldier Field in Chicago, where the final score is the Chicago Bears 17, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 10. You've been watching CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League.
Now